Ewa hanom medini akra kofi dako mene kwa menkan ewa hanom akosianso abeka ho yegusa ya veti ministers na ya bubobo mude no enti ewa parliament ewa appointment committee akache yes ansu wo main chamber num wanga wodi kan call appointment committee no anim no Yarusha Manebo Beba, Nene Wanga Wanga to Muntentem. A queer crantyman Abatana say, Dachi Hima. Onunzo Abatana say, Basine Yedi Kang Eboma Maniano, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Oguswa Oripa Wanga on Wambedi Juma, our ministries are whole in regions. Enti Wasang di Biabe Boom, Yanga di Kang Abo, one Amania di Acheremo, Maminti Bubium Sam Famamoy. Upper West Region. Orapuzon Charles Wanga, Bono Region, Joseph Adai Akwabua, Bono East Region, Ora Francis Owusuentri. And Nipena Yera John Dramani Mahama Bubo Mudino, Samumrana or Munino, Emebu Ghana Mangina, Mamin Kobiume, Ministry of Defense, no, also Dr. Edward Kofi Omanebo Manongosheho, if a Ministry of Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation, Samuel Nati George MP. Ono Subekwa Kosheho Wajeni to my Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Ama Kofibua or MP, if a Ministry of Sports and Recreation. Ora Kofi Idi Adams, and if a Ministry of Labor, Jobs and Employment, Ora Abdul Rashid Purple, and Obekwako Sheho Genituma, Ministry of Health, Aya Kwabana Minta Akando, Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, Ibrahim Mutala Muhammad, and also Obekoho, if a Transport, Ayora Joseph Bukari Nikpe, and also and Obekwako Sheho, Interior, Aya Muntaka Muhammad Mubarak, and Obekwako Sheho, Foreign Affairs, Aya Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Foreign Affairs Ministry, and if he works in housing, and so a J. Kenneth Gilbert, and he a yini dinga yera John Dramani Mahama, onam Nikasamafo, a year Felix Kwachu so na or the Abba, if a Ministry of State in charge of special duties and as initiative, a Emmanuel Kwejo Ejekum, or Mrashebi Gweni, and a Minister of State, Government Communications, a Felix Kwachi Ofusu, and a Minister of State, Climate Change and Sustainability, Aya Ura Isifu Seidu, and Tisana Yera John Dramani Mahama, editing no Abasisia Akopumo Ganam Rashebigwimna, Ebuja for me Momaha.
Yaja, Yeniakra,
Bribiaboko,
Adomara,
Mate, Ako Una Fenwaba, a kind of minute in a while since morning. Yen fiasim fashion Ahmed Ibrahim, ni vetino, now TV na cherry honor and na. Oh, the Damun say, and I pen your market on Tenemuntina. You're Ahmed Ibrahim when you're smooth sana say, Kansogo man or Honuman, maybe I again say.
Our Cramida say, and now what said your veteran a course so now, and we be added than now come. Yet the two and rada, send ye shall see no panoa, woman may say, brandy through a fenyo marking. Near maybe an hour ye nam so ma, don't hurry baby, you do not yen share veteran or see noa. What it to and Nedia noa, ultimus and Nedia, Bibia cosuye. Now, me did say, obitiano. Aye. Oh, Obitian, because I'm not the normal yet. That's it. You the necessary a damn cake, do revra, yet Siawa and Tia. It will just say Obiatiano, and it's an no or brand of Huasi, or only dear, and yes, or brand was you say one check. Was now was almost yeah, and no so back humbi because I don't know hot one. Or to 2 questions, rough a book cranwa and fuck when dear was say ye can't want some no, what did name and chen, dear hiano. I don't walk off Edia Babetum. And say, now what said ye vetin a course on us so far no, make us say, Bibia ko ye, what your questions are hodua, one more Edema Yera Ahmed Ibrahim Noir, what's mean ya but 3 ye no kama, na dear a year me de a womopane say, sat DC is ni MMD MC is now, what to for say one omo ba no omo hwe so omo ni MPs ni be ka bom aye adwuma saa de we mahun bi pen me mpesua so nkokwa abato mpesua so me modin de wo hwa MP ni MC no a na wo montam enhye da enwo saa na niema nkoyie edina ama empuntu aka kire ewo mpesua no eso enti we na wo ba na wo kye se mbuo ni die sefata wo se DC MC wo de ma wo MP na mo kabom na mo ye adwuma na mo primpuntu e de ba no bigi de se e ade a ehu hia pa e wo se aban na musifo ni nyina no wo mo hye ne nso na wo mo de ye adwuma san se ye ka ye local government anase ye local areas ahodo no a ye nyina ye hia mpuntu grassroots no so wo mo abo adwuma enti se ye ya anaja ya kai wom na aboa ma eniema atimi akonkan akra enti so far no drip enfidie no a MPP ede ba ye no wo ba oba ne ya wa bay no wo be hwe se wo be koso atoa saa initiative no eso se na be ya ye nkronkuma mu akwan ahodo bi a enye enkoyie drip enfidie no dwumadi a wo se ye de ye na etimi epeja ame ekonkan no so oba beto so pepepa hwe ama bibia timi agina ne na so eti so far de ye hwe di mu se ne waka ne nsem no wodi be ye adwuma ama ye local government no eniema timi agina ne na so development ne ye kampuntu a eniema timi akoye ede ama enti me rehye well bigi de se bibia betimi akonkan na ye nyina so ye nya so emfa so
that's him the special assistant to Ahmed Ibrahim. But I say we can ekya Ahmed Ibrahim so onim no onim ne dida answer na uhwe se na veti ekoye no uni den in general
akra wa yade se na medical aka no wa yade ne anu yi no na ubisa sembi se ebia na afenyo eni ho ntina watimenya niama boko sa da bi ohokra na obisa na sama obeyi ano esanse onimde wosua hunu wache omrahye begwafio nti obetimi yi na no sedia ewo se ese efa endura afenyo ya no oro eriko poko betena ase no ono ana efensemi so yi ano otimi se o se yetwa so ene okasa te se onim se wonim obetimi aye adwuma no nti ohokra na Ahmed beyi nsem no de ode bebia no obeyi ano ede amano na Ahmed nso se de ote no oyinipa bia je se ofre ne bribia na obenya na kasa ntimije de se adwuma no obeye na sadia na dachi maka so kan se drip no machines no equipment ode beye adwuma ode beye adwuma ga na fu enyina ye dia ode beye adwuma enti sika common fan sika na ye de ko 20 mem obi ye na adwen se ye obi na krade ba ye enti no se omu no kwan so meda bi bua mampetema memu na adwuma na kwan atete apansam no omotimi asiesie nse de sefata enti ye fie no de drip machines me adwuma na so beko no na eni ho wa onim se bia afa de akwasie no bomodi akohwe fa besio assembly na ho no ti so ba watimi ade adwuma aboa na akona bedi ho nsam so no atimi akonkan.
Okay, me da say akwa grant man amoteni kan ma me fasida nkoma Solak Natural Clinic what me gajo se mu a wo kidney hu ha no mumra na wontimi emu amafei liver hunsem so obetimi aboa mu ye pa uyo obia na se berima wo ho aye dinga mawa mepacho obetimi akọ Solak Natural Clinic fo akache na obetimi aboa ye pa utina sikakra obehwe na onanga ho na so bi wo se matina se 2 hours 4 hours na ni sisi mepacho nya de pa bo modern na hwehwe Solak echira kwanwa na obetimi aboa oye laboratory test ahuru nyina bi enti bo modern na friend wo 055 393 2631 055 393 2631 na osiminsan kan kire se owo Procedural capsules ewo ho ebebua ye ma obadu nso boko enti bomoden na pebi na nom wate bebi biara ye tonga druga na fane nyina no udu ho no makase upe Procedural capsules ni bi na eno na ebebua se ne be udu nso no badu nso no boko na niema be konkan ye obia titiri wo behwe se bi ona waya se edwa se niema nkoso ye mfa ma wa mepacho sadru ena bebua na Zipman capsules no eno ye berima ye ngedru nin panyan ubeti dene boko na se bibia kama lovely aha eti bomoding na Zipman capsules no merima no yanga druning esan se yanga hoden wompem no wa wonim se ewo fem no na wakopebi na wanom ebetumi aboa ye papa no san ewo Solak Miscellaneous so ewo honomo eno no eboa ma ware se eso se twan bomoding emiane titiri obi wo se memenya tinka ena den system pacho unwu ya otiase adenti no ni sa tinka no bomoding ko Solak akachi ko Solak Miscellaneous sister ni bi nanom na nneɛma nkɔ so yie ode bu anase white ni nneɛma nhyɛ da mmoa wo papa no bɔmɔden wahemfi hɔ bɛhwɛ na rashes bi aba hɔ nom anhyɛ da mmoa papa sister na afi 2025 na nyagori na yɛreba bɛdi o sɛ bia na saa nneɛma wei wɔ hɔ nom na nana bɛba hɔ nom na hɔ nom toro kan nkɔ yie gyae sister jai afi wig ni bua yeden ubeye sa per minutes ani manema bacho bomodeng de bebu na be yisika ne de ama no sa himfi ho no bibia be kama ho be kire ye kama eno ena ye be tumi yisika no bi e de ama enti Dr. Solomon ena di say no pe nyina aba enti frani number wen so no ufre na obefa na waje usu no wakoto ne no pa ne bi 0245616028 0245616028 eno ena unuma ebetimi abua ye papa na miwa hei eye dengara menum nsu amenum so no eye X natural mineral water nsu papa Sabre Food and Drugs Authority for wangaje atum upedodo wetu wa mipacho uba yenge dwuma mu ha ubenye bi etu akoton esan so utonga ubenya mfaso ahuru bi wo so na fei ukomeko mo biara mu a udu a enka se upensu fufu bia udika se mpe X papa X natural mineral water ubetumi afre 059 6273546 059 6273546 and 059 6273547 X natural mineral water na simply natural. Yeah, mami twasho eminuanom emiano ogusu ewa hanom me ne won ebetua nkomo twetwe no eso enti Sabre Ahmed Ibrahim na Sabre yede ni de no aba na wie enche ne otoso ebieng no so obeba pa ye be crossover na yang akọ appointment committee no anim ewo parliament na ono so ne obeka no nyina no ye de abremo eno so da nchen ayen ani so esan wo the main chamber nim wanga wodi kan eko vet no bi ti se Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen no ma wokoye no womo so womode no so ye ni de akiri enti na ye wa ha ye wo main chamber and ye appointment committee no anim enti radio TV and online no ye de nyina ebebremo Grantima Sabre both minority and majority no wanga sorry womo committee ekohwe reporter appointment committee no edi bebre won ansa no eno be nyina so de ama won a wo ba approve won wodi kan eko vetting no bi no say aba enti womo sorry eko sa meeting na wie no then ena wo hwe nim uje di se ne minority for led by afenyo mark and worry edede na uje di se betimi se bibi hu kwangana
akra minjindi se bibia betimi esi omo kwan se nipa miense di kan verti omo no yenjo mu ntum ema me ministers minim ade a esi omo kwan se enwo so omo ba ebe ye adwuma no eninti tobe ndie ade a afenyo we de ebe koso ometwe dare but at the end of the day no yebe pass omo approve omo amomatimi abeye adwuma no e de aboy Ghana no ye ni bere nti oso omo omo tum na mbahwe bebi a wo se omo ye adwuma ni nyina aboa na owura mahama aba no e take shape na fie hu bebi a ye de ani kire na etimi aboa Ghana nyina
se ye ka se ye ni bere a na se bibia keke e ba omo approve won ana
nipa koye hu ana bibia keke
se bia na wo se minority no omo nso omo timi di won gane hwem na samum
bibi keke bi anim hu ana bibi keke omo nyina wa experience omo nyina ya adwuma ne da Atuforsen why deputy da nti se no be main minister na de nche se ontimi ya adwuma no obetimi aye nti o si approve omo no mo ba be ya adwuma no ebua wo hwe din ya aba mampanyi ma appointment ni name sa aba ni nyina wo efe na beko vetting eni omo akọ vetting ni nyina no obia wo suahu na obetimi aye adwuma no they say a solid team ana audio ma ba na solid names ni nyina
solid team mehu bi de o
oh there be
2017
anya no fami nko
anya no what a solid team
David
eko wi ase na
emisi amfami nko ho ya wa kura ye wa potokura ni we kura kronkron enti no mfami nko
enti we ne
we ye ekura kronkron ebe ya dwuma no e di aboa eye Ghana
okay that hima
akra
enti ekura kronkron a ye nganya won yi no je wom tumu wi a wom fi won adwuma ya ase a den na mo hwe ene wom ne Ghana fo ntem nkita hode no den na hwe nim
nyame ya adom na se bibia totɔ na akwamu a sɛdeɛ wom ka wom nsɛm fa yɛ sɛ ba wom ɛbɛn no ɛyɛ ɔman Ghana ntia sɛ Ghana betum pɔn ntia na wom ɛbɛn nti wom hyɛ dwuma na se a wom hwɛ sɛ deɛ bɛboa yɛn ye sikasɛm se begyina bra no so afo bɛhwe ye sikasɛm so ama yɛn sɛ wo ye adwuma ye se de wo twasa no onim sɛ na chiachia enti sɛ wo ye adwuma na sɛ wo ti wachi sɛ ebia we nkoye we ya fa ha we ya si ha fa nneɛma to nsani ani na wo manfo bi Ghana fo bi nsɛm a wo mo ka no tutu ne sra ne abasa hwehwem na hunu sɛ nsɛm wo mo ka ebia de wo mo kan no kro me de fa ha ebetimi aboa sɛ de wo mo ɛka no ebetimi aboa ma Ghana ye nyinaa ya tumpon enti ba wo mo ba nyɛ sɛ bia ya nya de watuma wie enti wo be ma o matiri so mia ne gangari ya no mia ne gang leader no ya nya jimia tumia awie enti de me pɛ na me ye da bi amamuo na gina ye nyinaa ye so sɛ Ghana betumpon a egina ye nyinaa ye so enti wo ba ye osoafo a wo da so ye bia no wo sɛ wudwumadi a wudie no nyinaa no ɛyɛ inclusive for obi abra mu bi ontotoye wona montuo de obi bɛka no enye bibi bɔne bia na wɔsɛ wusom de adwuma na mmom sɛ nipa ne ka fato nsane ne sɛ de meka no na fa ye adwuma sɛ ne betimi aboa ɛna ba mo ba ni susu no adwuma ne nti ne ye de sɛ mampanya ɔte so wo gidi omumu sɛ nipa sumasi obenten me gidi sɛ adwuma wo betimi aye ɛnu nti na medi ama wo no saa pɛpɛpɛ obi wɔ no a onyanya tumi no a ni botom ɛn wo dwene ho na mpanifo a yɛbɔ mu din de me wo gidi omu sɛ wo de nya saa na wo te wo mo dwene Ghana ho wo dwene Ghana fo ho kan enti ba wo mo bai no ɛyɛ Ghana nti no wo mo ba sɛ Ghana bɛyɛ yie na timamufo anya so mfaso enti na wo mo ba enti me di akora me wo gidie ɛwɔ mu sɛ adwuma no wo betimi ayɛ na wo betimi ayɛ nyɛ keke na mmom wo bɛyɛ na wo ma yɛ ne yie ama Ghana yɛtinya tumpon esan sɛ ɛyɛ yie a ɛyɛ yie ma yɛ nyinaa anya yie susu a yɛ nyinaa yɛtimu bi enti yɛ bɛsrɛ wɔm ba wo mo ba no adwuma no Ghana fo kasa ɛyɛ a wo mu ntie empanifo kasa ɛyɛ a wo mu ntie wo mo nsɛm na wo mo fanto nsani ani na sɛ ne bɛyɛ yɛ nyinaa yɛ betimi atumpon na wo man susu atimi agina yie
okay bribe now say ɛnyɛ wɔm kotokum nti na wɔre ba na mmom Ghana fo nti
Ghana sɛ Ghana bɛyɛ yie sɛ deɛ nti a
na sɛ nipa a yɛwɔ man ni mu no ɛna ɛbɛma Ghana no ayɛ yie enti sika no sɛ woka sɛ nyɛ wɔn kotokum nti na ɔpa kyerɛ dɛn na ɔpa kyerɛ
deɛ mepa kyerɛ ne sɛ obi wɔ hɔ nom a yɛde tumi hyɛ ne nsa a sɛ ɔbɛba bɛhwɛ tumi a de ahyɛ ne nsa ne soɔ ama deɛ ensusunsu aso na ɛwɔ se yɛnya firi soɔ no ɛba no ɛnyɛ saa na ɛteɛ ebia taku ana sempoa ye bɛba no no ɔde ahyɛ ne bottom wadi sɛ menka ne saa na wonti a
wodi sɛ bia ne ɛwɔ sɛ ɔde go ɔkɔhwɛ sɛ bia adwuma bi bɛkɔ baabi no ebia contractors ebetua wɔn ka
no
ɔnyɛ saa
sika ne nya ka ne nsa pabam no ɔde akɔto na account mu wo paake no paake saa na me pa kyerɛ
package no
saa na me pa kyerɛ sika ne ba de ɛwɔ se yɛ de yɛ no yɛmfa nyɛ esan sɛ yɛn Ghana fo ya na yɛkɔto aba o ɛna yɛyi ya kandifoɔ ɛna mampani apaw binom sɛ monkonkɔ da soe ya wo ya no na mommoa mamuo no empunto no entimi nkɔ so empunto no betimi akɔ so egyina yɛ nyinaa yɛ so eti sɛ wo yɛ adeɛ no a ɛnyɛ obotom sɛ wobɛdi sika no fa yɛ adwuma ne yɛ nyinaa yɛnyɛ dɛ yɛnya so mfasoɔ na moama Ghana entumpɔman Ghana yɛkɔ yɛ anim o mpɛmpɛn so a yɛdure yɛkɔ yɛ anim sky train sɛdeɛ mampani a ofiri so ka yɛ kabi ne nam wiem anka nsene yɛn so anwo
sky train
sasande sa hye
ebi ne nam wiem a wahu ɔmagye contract na sky train ban na sefo bɔhye bebre na mpanifo bia bɛhyɛ kɔ a yɛnhunu hwee eti said ya ban yi kanen nsɛm a yɛn dis ya ba yɛra mampani his excellency John Dramani Mahama kanen nsɛm no me hwɛ ni mu sɛ enima betimi akɔso sa na yɛn grassroots no a yɛn so yɛbrɛ yɛ no yɛso so yɛ nyinaa ne Ghana fo nyinaa yɛnya so mfaso
me da se ekua me mbisa wo ade ba ko sabre a yɛra John Dramani Mahama oguso ori appointe wɔn bɛkɔ various ministries no mu no technocrats are ministries and agencies no by say me dey say me wo ho una oya ndc ni a wo de waba etimi me mafia wo se ne akọ Erica no sika na ye de ama wo no wo se ekọ ye dwuma na ye nkọ ye ne sa sankrofo na wo mu hyehye agencies na fe ministries ahoro nso no edeng ni won ru ana se deng na wo hwe nim se won a wo be kọ various ministries no edeng na wo betimi aye na odi won ani edi won achi se ne be ye a enko ba se di sika ni ma won a won so ebia sika no wodi befa baby
empempi no eya na ye kana politicians ne nko a na ye di ani some say bi omo ye corrupt na say bi etisa but no crasam ne say omo ministries no say omo do no say adwuma na adwuma wo ye politician ye do be ba be minister after 4 years na say bia racial for craba obetimi akọ na obi a be take over enti omo no ebinim timi ye nwa bia ensem fata na sa no wa minister wo ho no e wo so do 90 form na ma wani eda ho na nsa na obe sign krata bia no wankasa wetimi ahwem mu say bia contract amesen ana say bia we amesen ade a esi amfa nkwankoye no yetimi ade aye ense bia obesan de manipa no oyi wani na atwosem de omo hyema se be yadwuma no wona wodi anim no ankaka ho amfa na nsifam anwe se adwuma na wodi ama no ye be ya ye betena aba abro ade ahyew esan se ba wo na be ka se bia minister we wanya adwuma wo so ye ganafo ani besam nti omo hye se o me yadwuma den omo de omo ni betu fam na subordinate wo masa na se nipa omo ni omo be yadwuma no omo ye se adwuma no omo ye we minister ya paw anya hwe kura Ghana abe adwuma ni de ancha bi abe 8 o'clock na wa adwuma obi kwasa obom on baw on mantam ono so a adwuma no obon ye ono so be fi office ntam one bantam no obesi ni nyina ya nneoma bi a ensem fata na fe contractor na ndura owura agoja kan ho asem no hwe rate at which I ma contract ebi kura na source of funding ye nim nso ni ama contract tam so awuntua ya na se interest no enyi ni nyina wo se bi o ma contractor awo so mo tena se ye nhwe ni ye pansa bi a o ma dia atum se bi a ye ma contract nti ni nyina ya ade a awo so mutimi hwente sa technocrat ewo o ministries no baby bi dia show ma omudin na ye bebo abana nkoye nso a Ghana fu nim sa nipa no a won ne wo department no ni enim ani NDC aban ni enim ani owura John Dramani Mahama ni enim ni ministers a nyame ya aduma monya akwanya ya bobu mu dia de adwuma hye mo nsa no mu ana ye nimu eni nti bo mo ba ne de o hye se bibia beko from kama
would you suggest say na ya na ministers ya reshuffle wo no anka civil servant nso yenya wo bribi sa na bia na ene wo hanom na o kira nka bia won ayi we fi honom na ye de wakọ baby foforo obesusu se sa de ne yenya
e depend o background na se bia obi no ye betimi a transfer unso bi wo nya akwanya se bia yemfa nso ministries e bia passport office and no one crime department and as crime branch no wa this wa onko transfer onko ba bia ni so o hwehwehwe wo saa ba hwe o nso a se bia local government district assemblies no kra na e bia wo eye lejekuku a e wo se from time to transfer wo ekọ e bia Medina ntem ho ba bi ni nyina se transfer ba na se timi environment
se na ya ma teachers transfer ya
sa pepe na wo se timi ya badwuma se bia wo assembly ba ko betena ha wanko pension na wanwu a na se oda ho asi ho da bia wo se timi sakra mu na ni nyina local government minister ebe no sa no menoma ni nyina no e wo so na se yema wo so ya transfer wa yin se bia wo ye party ni ntina ye de ani asa wo se ya transfer da bi e wo so kọ na che se wo sakra mu e bi o tena fa akwa che si nsuo nso kyare hwe mu a eje mapampa enti o se ye hwe se won se wo faako sa police fo bi say police fo timi tena faako sa no transfer
me da say ekwa krantima na mote ne nkan se na me di kan no ye wo hanom ye wo main chamber no mo parliament and yes and appointment committee honom enti sabre yan crossover ne nko main chamber no mo esan se chairman hene first deputy speaker Bernard Ahiafo abetena say
it is about time to apply our rules strictly, because during the orientation program, they have been taken through the rules of the House and the rudiment of the game. And I implore all of us to observe accordingly. Thank you very much. Honourable members, at commencement of public business, item numbered 9, presentation of papers.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, you have the floor.
By your leave, if we can vary the order of business so that we can lay the reports from the Appointments Committee. So, Speaker, our standing orders reports ordinarily should be laid by the chairman of the committee, but given that the chair of the committee is presiding as speaker, the rules permit any member of the committee to lay a report. So if leave is granted, I'd like to lay the first report of the Appointments Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination of Orders 285 and then Order 672 of our standing orders.
Honourable Member.
285-1.
Honourable Member.
Yes.
I think we are speaking the same language. The item numbered 9 on today's order paper is first report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as Minister. So that is the item under reference. Second report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as ministers. So it is that particular item that is under reference.
First report of the appointment.
Honourable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, my very respected colleague, Honourable Ayariga, had earlier referred to the rules of the House, suggests that he was varying the order of business. We know that we have done business statement for the second week, and then from there we go to statement, and then he prayed for leave to vary same. Mr. Speaker, with respect, I do not know how that aspect of his application ended. And then again, he was referring to order 2852. Yes, 2851. No, you said 2852. 67 with the 2852 and how that can relate to the 67. But, Mr. Speaker, if he's putting his application to a peaceful rest, that's fine. Otherwise, I would want to...
Honourable Minority Leader,
yes.
I believe strongly, having drawn his attention, he was not sitting with us. We had some discussion after the joint caucus. So if I point his attention to the fact that the item under reference to be taken by the House is the exact item that he's trying to vary the order of business to take, I think that puts the issue to rest. Honourable Ayariga.
Mr. Speaker, by the order of business, we should be at statements. By the order of business, as captured in the order paper, we should be at statements. Mr. Speaker has not communicated to us that there is no statement to be made, and therefore we should be moving to the next item. And so, if I am on my feet before Speaker has communicated there's no statement, the only way I could proceed is to ask for a variation of the order of business so that item number 9 will then become the appropriate item, which is the presentation of papers. But you see, when I got up and said that, Speaker indicated that he had already given indications that we should proceed to item number 9. And you wanted some education on the provisions of Order 285 and Order 67. I had been approached by the clerk earlier on. If you were watching, before we took the break, I had been approached by the clerk, and it was the clerk who indicated that there was an agreement that I should vary the order of business in order to lay the report. That's why I got up and did that. I referred you to 285 and order 67 just because the two together talk about the laying of reports of committees and then also the variation of the order of business so the provision is made. That's all.
I am not saying you cannot speak, but how long are we going to go back and front on this?
Mr. Speaker, you gave an indication. He on the government side should have taken a cue. Once he had taken you through the part of procedure,
if you stop driving at night because of
Parliament and a free near the agreement to the Biana ISI when they order for Kwesi Bechi Abeka Kwesi Accra. Since I hear him some of the report ni baba on Penifua Yanga Dikanga Veti Womono, and only I hear him near Co Chamber Duma Sabre Ahamano, I Bibia Hono. Uno Parliament. Then what?
Oh, any day no what? Send and some netie. See na the report na could do parliament no. Summary chairman of the appointment committee and a tier of parliament see. Yeah. ABN speaker tier and echi. And the Saban is there and the deputy chairman and I ever presented the committee's report. I chair the whole house. So appointment committee ko transeno. Omututo enipa asemesi ano. Na omututo na no enema omunya free munie. Enti omususu say enipa no omutini se do si ni nsema no se do si kasa ne se do si ye nema no dwumadi na ye de hye ne nsa no obetime de se adwuma ne nti nemfa adwuma ne ma no so ko ba ne sa na afanu na e wo mra hye bedwom nyina ni o ha obia wo ho a that means ombeka se ene enwan no
okay
but committee report no I was say by consensus
okay.
or majority decision se ko ba en say majority decision next say sa dia na se donkuma ne den etia de den omune committee ni trans ne o manyina anu anko benkrom enti e ba ne sa dia na say omumu aban afa no na gitum se yenye sa ankofo ne ntum nti e ba ne sa na say omumu ni aban afa na minority for so enji ntum de ombe pushi say ne sa na te de yenye den yentu aba
okay
but ade ba ko a esi wo mra bedwom e bin sida ne say sa omumu aban fa sese no omu nipa dodo a ombetim de aye bibia
okay
ye bom pa ye say nipa dodo no wo no mumu mfa nya ade a ebeko ati oman Ghana
okay
omfa nya ade ebe benefit oman Ghana
okay
ni se ko ba ne se dom kuma no kwa so mum premier nyi sa nkofo miensen asofo ya bo mu di nipa miensan we ntuma ni se ko ba sa abato a edom kese no etimi de omu nipa dodo no emu fa ebetima jia half
because
everybody say omu se be say omu mo no sisi ya no omu won edom a also omu de sha se di juma anu mo dom omu sha se di edidi esi ginaye
okay
se ko ba ne sa don kase ni o ha bia ana don kuma no enni even half o say ye de sha se e kra di juma cause I say 90 as 91 san won tim ayeden eja don kuma no omu ndu sa ntimpa ya ne e bo ne say don kwase no so ko ba ne say don kuma no enti asem pa don kwase no emma Ghana fo enyina so ene adekudie potinti e kire say sankofo we say agitum nom ko ya so afo say ya Ghana fo be hu say enye say da ba wo mutuma wo munti ana mo fa sa akonya no so dia ya ade bia bebo aban mum Ghana for interest nti and don't present state friends a report now say the bc akon and e be hu say order is by majority decision or consensus say if there consensus then say anyone or how be any HRB
na say minority no muntimi nka say consensus kra na say kra ye ba ne say majority decision kra so muntimi nka hwe
and am ka say omuni nipa edom a ekoba ne say e wo say ebi yemfa nkwa abatom yemfa ntwema nso a omuni say nipa no omuni say adom no enti ne say dom kese no emu half eba amrahye bejom kra na say ka say to abana do so sene bebre because as then I think say 89 as say ndu 90 kra eno na ha adwen no
okay we da say we fancy dan koma hola sevia heba clinic say minga kire wa na mbisa so you be out na sikakra na na ahono dia dog say minga kire say bo modern na hwehwe no ɛwɔ ɛyɛ ahyɛnma but ansa na mɛtua so no ma menkɔ back to parliament na yɛnkɔfa nea ɛrekɔ so wɔ hɔ nom.
And the report there must be sufficient copies. That is the rule. So they should make it available so that we can lay. So, Mr. Speaker, place that one on ice. Let us proceed with the first one. Yes, we will lay it, do it, and then go to the next one. The second one, Ayerga does not even have a copy. I don't have it either. So they should bring it so that we can quickly deal with it for you.
Honorable Deputy Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I will urge the table office to make sure that copies are available. In the meantime, I urge for us to go forward and take the I report, and then we can continue.
Honorable Chief Whip.
Speaker, let me encourage the Deputy Leader. Probably take a cue. When we were seated there, we go to down there, the table office and the printing room. You can check from the printing room. So please, don't just get up on your feet and say that you are urging the table office. Go there, do something.
Honorable Speaker, I thank the Chief Whip. I think that what we've been seeing the last week is that they want to quickly show the minority side and the MPP that they are working. What I tell them to do is that please pick the issues that matter, and there are things that you should not do as minority, and there are things we did not do. I think you know them because you saw our record. But I think what is important, Honorable Speaker, I think we can make progress and take the report that is available. I thank you.
Very well. Right, honorable members. The report numbered item 9AI is duly presented, and it is for the distribution of the House. Second Deputy Speaker should take the chair. Honorable Deputy Majority Leader, can you move the motion item numbered 10?
Right.
Before then, Honorable Minority Leader, you are on your feet.
Mr. Speaker, I would want to plead with you that we should not just be doing our work, but we should be seen to be doing it in a manner that is known to our rules. I believe that since you've called the respected Second Deputy Speaker to take the chair, we may wait for you to move the procedural motion so that we can proceed. I would just plead with you, it's just a few seconds. So, yes, but it will be tidier for Mr. Speaker himself to proceed to move the procedural motion. That is my...
I said so because before the second Deputy Speaker is prepared to take the chair, I don't want to hold the House to a ransom. That is why in the situation, I called on the deputy leader to move the procedural motion.
Honourable Speaker, I rise that motion number 10 on page 3 of today's order paper be taken. So moved.
Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, that's not the right way to move the motion. No, let's get it right, and we insist on the right thing being done. It cannot be that you merely be on your feet and say motion number 7 is taken. You know, honorable respected deputy majority leader, it cannot be that will be your approach. It's unacceptable that you get up and you say that is moved. How? Mr. Speaker, you are someone who believes that the right thing must be done. We've indulged the deputy majority leader. He should patiently rise again and do the right thing. There are first-timers who are learning and are aspiring for leadership. They must know how the motion is moved, how procedural motion is moved.
Honorable Minority Leader, motions are moved in terms of the motion paper. And even in court, we say in terms of the motion paper and the supporting affidavit. This is not the first time a motion similarly is being moved in the manner in which the deputy majority leader moved the motion. So, honorable minority leader, with all due respect, if the deputy majority leader is saying that I moved the motion numbered 10 at page 3 of today's order paper, I so moved, is in the right direction.
Right on, Speaker. Right on, Speaker.
Well, Minority Leader, I will offer him the opportunity to move the motion number 10 on today's order paper.
Honourable Speaker, humbly ask that motion number 10 on page 3 of today's order paper be moved. I so move.
Any seconder?
Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
All members, motion moved and seconded, and it is for consideration of the House. Second, Deputy Speaker should take the chair. Honourable members, this is a procedural motion. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is accordingly adopted.
Honorable members, let's now turn to item 11, which is the substantive motion. Yes. The chairman of the appointment committee.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this Honorable House adopt the first report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as ministers. Mr. Speaker, in doing so, I present to you the committee's report. Mr. Speaker, it is 48-page report, and I'll urge the Hansa Department to capture the entire report as having been read. Mr. Speaker, I will state in conclusion that the committee agreed by consensus to unanimously recommend to this House for approval the nomination of Honorable Kesel Atoba Fosse as a minister responsible for finance. Similarly, the committee recommends by consensus or unanimity to the House the approval of Honorable John Abdullahi Napo as a minister responsible for energy. Right, Honorable Speaker, the committee further, by consensus and unanimity, recommends to the House for approval the nomination for the position of Attorney General and Minister responsible for Justice, Honorable Dominic Akuritinga Ayene. Right, Honorable Speaker, I so moved. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yes, honorable members, the motion has been moved. Yes, honorable member for Ayeribi, Ofonsi Ayeribi.
Ofonsi Ayeribi, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you. Yes, I'm doing correction. Yes. Mr. Speaker, I come under Order 97-3. And the orders of this House are that when a paper of this nature is laid, a short explanatory statement shall be made by the person presenting a paper when requested by the House or a member upon presentation. What the chairman of the committee respectfully has done is to lay and ask that we approve. But the substance of it has not been made available to us. So I come under 97.3 requesting that that explanation be given. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker, yes, I'm not sure where the honourable member was reading from, but the standing order he quoted, 97.3, actually 2. If so desired by the person presenting the paper, a short explanatory statement may be made. I'm not going to 3. So the honourable member is completely out of order.
Yes, leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleague, who is the applicant in this matter, made an application. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Kojo Opon Kroma, Member of Parliament for Ofuase Ayeri, rose on his feet under Order 97.3 to make his application. In mounting his application, he relied on Order 97.3, and for the avoidance of doubt, I quote, "A short explanatory statement shall be made by the person presenting a paper where requested by the House or a member upon presentation." So he has requested. He has requested. He rose on his feet to make an application. Mr. Speaker.
Leader, thank you very much. But at this juncture, I'll turn down the application. Could you let me turn your application down based on two, that if so desired by the person presenting the paper. So if the person decided not to give Honorable Kojo, Honorable Kojo.
If you kindly indulge me, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, once you have made
Please,
a pronunciation,
you cannot challenge the Speaker, and you must allow the Speaker to give you the chance to speak. The Speaker must allow you to speak.
That is what I'm requesting
I
of
have
the
not
Speaker.
heard the Speaker.
Yeah, but that is what
But
I'm requesting.
Honorable Leader, I've also not given you the chance to also speak.
That is what I'm requesting of the Speaker.
So, Kojo, let me hear you.
Mr. Speaker, please indulge me. Order 97.2 says that if the presenter of the paper so desires, then he may give a short explanatory statement. But 97.3 says that a member may request for that explanation. And where that request is made, Mr. Speaker, a short explanatory statement shall be made, not even made.
Very well.
So I come under 97.3 with my request, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Very well. Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Member for Ayeribi,
Ofonsi Ayeribi.
Ofonsi Ayeribi is coming under Order 97.3. 2 and 3. 2 and 3.
He didn't come 2 and 3. He said Order 97.3.
97.3. But Mr. Speaker, we have passed the stage of Order 97. Order 97 is talking about the presentation of a paper. What he has done is not to present a paper. What he has done is to move for the adoption of a report. Is to move for the adoption of a report. He is not presenting a paper. I presented a paper. So at the point when I presented the paper, you could have then asked me, instead of just to present the paper, to give some explanation as to what was contained in the paper. So we've gone past there. We've gone past there. This one, he's moving for the adoption of a report. So let him move for the adoption of his report.
Yes. Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the literalist interpretation approach to interpretation, Mr. Speaker, is not what operates today. This is a House of Parliament. We must be purposive in how we interpret our rules. We must be purposive. But, Mr. Speaker, this is not a time to litigate on matters of this nature. Mr. Speaker, it's early days. What is important is to ensure that ministers of state are approved to take charge of our ministries. The ministries are not for civil servants to manage. It's for political leaders with a political mandate to manage. So, Mr. Speaker,
Hans Society TVXYZ. You go see ya wahanum make up for a hola Savior Herbal Clinic in Vamao. Almost a maybe some yanity to send me Mumpocrano. Said Nema Betum Yadia. And Miano Munko Holaho, Mumpocrano Niama Betum, near Nymphen free of Vamamo. So, breast cancer near the 2025 in Pebium. Yen free ho, young 5 free papa fem, near Nymphen free ho, Netimi Mwamo. Never conquer. Diabetes is 7 of a stroke goes to be Papa. Doctors, he got your zebra. One more kidneys, whom some so. Ose mo hwehwe no ewo ashaiman on access bank no ene de nim hwe mo mo asthma koko yare otwa anase epilepsy obia bunza na eye muja ni meye ni ade akosi asempa to bomode nkoho kohola hono mwa but tell hola se mi got so betumi friend was 057 665 6658 and at 0200 623
you agree with us to move on. I've already ruled. So the motion has been moved. I'm looking for someone to second the motion. Yes. Honorable Deputy Major, are you seconding the motion? No, if you are not seconding the motion, I'm not giving you the floor. I want someone who will second the motion. Yes, Honorable Afenyo, you may second the motion.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minority Leader, please address the chair.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion moved by the chair of the committee. Mr. Speaker, indeed, the Right Honorable Speaker read to us this communication from His Excellency the President. At the time the communication got to this House, the one who signed it was the Secretary to Mr. President. The Speaker, at the hearing, the matter was raised, and I must state for public records that His Excellency subsequently brought a letter signed by him himself, and that put that matter of constitutional procedure of a sort to a peaceful rest. Mr. Speaker, as contained in page 2 of this 48-page report, the committee requested for and received from National Bureau of Intelligence, National Intelligence Bureau, a security report on the nominees. And I must say that all three reports proved favorable. We therefore proceeded to hear them. The Speaker, first on our respected colleague, the Majority Leader, Dr. Kassiel Ato Van Forsen. He distinguished himself. The necessary questions were asked him. He explained to the best of his ability. Of course, there were clear commitments that our side, the minority, expected from him regarding some promises that his party made in its manifesto. These we expected him to have given us clear, straightforward answers. But, as a Speaker, he coming under the fact that he is not been to the Ministry and there's the need for some consultations, was open in his answers. Mr. Speaker, this House will hold his feet to the fire by demanding answers from him, even as he assumes that high office. Mr. Speaker, we're also not too sure about his designation. The executive instrument establishing the ministry talked about Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, whereas the letter to us referred to him as the Minister of Finance designate. So I believe that that is a matter that has to be done, because it's a constitutional matter that I believe that the President may have to look at. Mr. Speaker, this government has made a lot of promises that it is going to repeal some taxes at our ports. Those port taxes have still not been repealed, but we can understand because they don't have a Minister of Finance. We can understand that because they have not presented their first budget. But at least we expect them to make a public commitment. To make a public commitment that indeed, given the opportunity, they walk the talk. Importers are anxious. They are expectant. They want to see taxes and levies reduced. They want to see taxes that you call obnoxious taxes repealed. You promise them great reliefs. Those importers are expectant. Mr. Speaker, the all-important support for the private sector initiative 1D1F. We asked the minister why, in opposition, he did not support the 1D1F. His views were to the effect that these exemptions, when given, are often abused. But, Mr. Speaker, merely saying that the exemptions are abused is not enough. What is important is for government to put in place measures to ensure that those who benefit and use these benefits for the good of industry. Again, it appears that in opposition, he acted perhaps merely for the sake of politics. We still believe that the only way for this government to survive is to ensure a thriving private sector. Giving or granting exemption to the private sector is something that must happen. It must be done. You can't continue to overtax the private sector. I spoke about tax waivers yesterday. I will speak about tax waivers today, and I'll speak about it tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, they are talking about their so-called big push. The so-called big push was again re-echoed by my respected colleague Atisvete. Again, we are holding him to the commitment he's made. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, he defined the 24-hour economy. All these months that they were talking about 24-hour economy, there was total confusion. He now says that the 24-hour economy is only going to look at the real sector of our economy. So we are looking at the manufacturing sector, the mining sector. He says so for the records, and he's been captured. If you read page 9 of the report, I have the 48-page report. I have it with me. And that is what he referred to, that the 24-hour economy is going to concentrate on the real sector. I am sure that if this concentration is done, yes, it's here. Funding government machinery. He said the implementation of exam. He's talked about it generally. Mr. Speaker, if they really implement the 24-hour economy, we will not be seeing desperate youth on our streets. We will not be seeing desperate youth invading people's company premises. We will not be seeing violence. We will not be seeing unemployment at high levels. So, Mr. Speaker, we look forward to the resetting agenda that my respected colleague talked about. But, Mr. Speaker, he is a member of this House, a fourth termer. He has distinguished himself, fifth termer, sorry, Honorable Makofi, thank you. No, my senior. Yes, he's my senior, that's correct. Though we agreed to enter this chamber the same year, I was not fortunate. I lost my primaries by a single vote, and I had to go back to the assembly to go and contest again as an assemblyman and to become a presiding member and to catapult myself into the chamber 4 years after. So I agree. Atu is my senior in this chamber. That's fine. Mr. Speaker, I have absolute confidence in him that being a young man, he's 46, he served as a deputy minister, but what he told me during the inauguration, here was a young man who came into the chamber and was seated behind the pillar. Nobody saw him. Nobody recognized him. He didn't even qualify for leadership of committee. By the grace of God, industry and patience, he's gotten to where he's gotten to. I believe that Atu's rise to that high office should be an inspiration. And I tell him that he should not forget about that. If he falls, it will be the fall of the Ghanaian youth. Going to manage an economy is no joke. We can only pray for him, wish him well, pray that he works with the team there, consult more, and be firm in his own approach to things. It's not a very popular position to take in government. His party people will come after him. Other government ministers will be on him because everybody would be anxious to have a bite at the national cake. So he should be minded of the challenge ahead of him. Mr. Speaker, the next person, our own respected colleague, John Abdullahi Jinapo, who is going to the Energy Ministry. Mr. Speaker, I will rest my case on him as there are some more experts in that area that I would not attempt to go there. There are people who are well versed in those energy-related issues, and I know that they are very anxious to make a meaningful contribution in that area. So I will skip him. Suffice to state that he is such an affable fellow. If we look at his family, his brother is with us. He distinguished himself. He is on the other side. And Ghanaians should watch this, that the politics we do should not divide a family. The politics we do, Mr. Speaker, I will pause here to remind the majority side. They are in government. They are no more in opposition.
Leader, just address me.
I'm addressing you, but
yes.
I'm reminding them. I'm reminding them that they are in government. If they want to be litigating, your government business will delay. We will have our say. Mr. Speaker, The Jinapor brothers have something to tell Ghanaians. Politics should not make you think to the extreme. Those of us here who, when it gets to politics, we forget that we are friends and we hit so hard, should learn from the Jinapor brothers. Those who, when it gets to electioneering period, and they are assigned to people's you see your life. Unacceptable, and they proceed, and when they finish, they come and pretend like they are brothers. Those who go to polling stations, collation centers to misconduct themselves, forgetting that we are in this together, learn from the Jinapor brothers. Those who lead tax to collation centers, to insult, to threaten, yet they know they are members of parliament, should remember the Jinapor brothers represent the hope of this country. Learn from them. The Speaker, that said, I shall rest my submissions by having a bite on the nominee, Dr. Dominic Akurutinga Ayeni. Mr. Speaker, this gentleman has earned the respect of this House. Mr. Speaker, I remember when I was on government side, leading government business, there were situations where, as a professional, he even departed from certain positions taken by his side. He got a lot of social media attacks on him, but he stood firm and he stood his ground. No wonder His Excellency, in looking for a formidable but moderate lawyer to mount that ministry, he found him worthy for that cause. He's made his name in the academia. In my early days of practice, there was one case I relied on to make my bail applications and to defend my client, the famous Tagore versus the Republic. Mr. Speaker, the Tagore case was a case that no lawyer wanted to venture. Tagore was jailed with others, and lawyers felt that it was a radioactive substance. This was a man who took the judgment of the High Court, read through it, and took up the appeal. I would encourage young lawyers and law students to go and read what Apau J, as he then was, said of Dr. Ayeni, where my Lord Apesera said of Dr. Ayeni. He distinguished the law and set us on a new era of criminal jurisprudence. And that has enriched the law in the area of criminal justice. All these go to his credit. Mr. Speaker, when I was practicing in the area of financial crime, there were a lot of times that we clashed at the Supreme Court, but the beauty of the relationship was that when we left court, he, as Deputy Attorney General, came to me to even encourage me that I should continue. And that is the beauty of the game. Mr. Speaker, I want to remind you that going into that important ministry, we on this side of the house are watching him closely and keenly. There would be extremists, hardliners, who will be looking for the people's justice. He should remind them that Ghana is a country of rule of law. he should remind those extremists that due process is the only means to achieve an end. He should not allow people to be pushing him here and there. Mr. Speaker, let Hansard testify to this point I want to make. Once upon a time, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, was confronted with a situation where, indeed, those supposed culprits or suspects had really not done any wrong, but some omissions resulted in they having done some wrong against the state. I'm referring to a double salary situation. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo decided to pursue a path to bring down the temperature of the country. Many were those extremists in the MPP administration pushing the Akufo-Addo government to pursue the double salary and even jail them. I remember, as a member of his government, President Akufo-Addo said, to what would he gain if all these members of parliament are sent to court and are jailed? What will become of the politics of the country? This is my word of caution to my respected senior and the law professor. Pursue those who are committed a criminal wrong. No problem at all. But don't pursue political opponents. If somebody has wronged the state, has committed a crime, there's no problem. But do not allow anybody to push you to attack your political opponent. Mr. Speaker, 2013-2014, I was on this side. Some of us, the lawyers, I remember myself and 3 other lawyers who were always doing our cases, were being chased. Today, file your tax. And they were having issues. They would send us to Yoko. I remember it took Dr. Ayeni to tell those adventurers, to tell those extremists, that these are MPs who are lawyers, don't invade their offices. I remember. There are always extremists. No. There are always extremists who will be chasing you, the Attorney General. Go after your opponent. Let us make getting into government attractive and getting out of government also attractive. Yes. Don't let us create an impression that we get into office only to focus on so-called political opponents. I'm coming to Ora. Mr. Speaker, that so-called committee claiming to be going after loot must be cautioned that committee is unconstitutional and illegal. And I pray that my respected colleague, Dr. Ayeni, after taking office, will review the activities of this illegal, unconstitutional body, bring things to order, and allow the state institutions clothed with a mandate to investigate, to follow due process, investigate, and prosecute if necessary. The way this aura is going, it will not help the cause of our democracy. Today you are in government, tomorrow you will be in opposition. Do unto others as in all situations you wish them do unto you. If MPP side in government makes some mistakes, you know you don't have to continue that path. So leave above board and pursue justice for all Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, on that note, I shall thank you for indulging me and rest my case and encourage members to support this report, which is by consensus. Thank you so much indeed.
Honorable members, The motion has been moved and it has been seconded. It is now before the House for consideration. Honorable members, let please be snappy with our contributions. I believe we agreed at the pre-sitting that we are going to have 5 members from each side.
Right, Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Leader, I'm speaking.
Please. Before we proceed, I think that it has been agreed. We'll not argue about that, but we need to talk about it. Going forward, I think we need to revisit this number of people who speak. We have 187, including independent candidates, and quite frankly, 88 members. And so when it comes to debates, it must be proportional. And I think it's fair. I am not arguing about the agreement. I'm not arguing about the agreements. But I'm saying that going forward, time immemorial, because of the numbers. Other than that, we'll have so many people who don't have. But I am not going back on the agreement that has been reached. I think it's very important that we say it.
Honorable members, please, let's have an order. The decision has already been taken at the pre-sitting. It has been agreed that 5 from each side. So, Honorable Deputy Majority Leader, please, the decision has already been taken. So now we have the names here. We will begin with Honorable Alhaji Ladi Ayaba. Hajia Ayaba. Honorable Member, you wouldn't go beyond 5 minutes. Just indulge me so that we can have this report concluded and attend to other business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, but the title should come as Hajia. Mr. Speaker, let me first of all thank the Almighty Allah for bringing us to this level, and thank the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, for making these nominations to take up the mantle of governance in his government. Mr. Speaker, the first 3 people who have come to table are individuals whom I have known for at least not less than 12 years each, some of them more. Mr. Speaker, let me start with the person of Honorable Atforson. This is a person who has been so forceful in all his activities. He has never taken the issue of his personality to be something that he feels he may feel big or think that he is above others. His demeanor has been so encouraging. His knowledge of the subject matter is not questionable. He was the Deputy Minister of Finance, and he worked to the best of his knowledge. He did so well that we all saw the kinds of things that he did until the NDC then left government in 2016. I became so happy with Honorable Atforson and continued to watch him as we sat on your left side, Mr. Speaker, when he had this issue of being dragged to court. I had more confidence in him when one day I said, "Leader, this issue," he said, "Hajia, don't worry, it shall be well." And I said, "Inshallah, it shall be well." And it has been well. Mr. Speaker, this is the same man who has been nominated in the vetting committee. His responses left no stone unturned. He did so well. I just sat and watched him. And there was nothing I could say or think about than to wish him well, because I know he has that good knowledge, and I know he will deliver. All we need is for us to work and work well and ensure that he delivers for the good of the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, from what I have said, you realize that his capability is not questionable. Scrapping of taxes, people have spoken and said time again, especially about the almighty e-levy. The e-levy doesn't only affect those that we think it's affecting, whereby maybe we those here do not care, but I can assure you that it affects us because there is time that your own constituents, in sending money to their children or relatives, will complain to you about these taxes, which are, I will describe, a nuisance tax. It has been a big worry, and I'm so happy that he mentioned it and has reaffirmed the president's position that that tax will be scrapped. And I think that is a kudos to us of the NDC for thinking so well about the good of Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, tax exemptions came to the table time and again. Many times we had to go through the exemptions and ensure that we took out some of the items that were locally manufactured and yet were being brought and put amongst tax items that needed to be exempted. And that was very, very worrying. Most of the taxes we need to relook at and ensure that items, especially those that can be gotten locally, should never be part of any exemptions. Mr. Speaker, I will not be done on the issue of Honorable Atuforsen coming up to support and lead when it came to these exemptions, when we had taxes that needed to be exempted, when even those factories were already in existence. We ensured that it never happened. And I believe that he is going to continue in that dimension. Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't like to talk so much because I know you have already spoken about time, and there are many others who are yet to come. Honorable Atuforsen, I wish you the best in your office, and I hope and pray that you are able to work and work as you have always been to the benefit of us all. Not only NDC, not only MPP, to all Ghanaians and to the world at large. Mr. Speaker, Honorable John Abdullahi Jenapo, who has been presented as the Minister Designate for the Ministry of Energy, is one anybody at all would like to interact with. He is so highly sociable, very lively, outgoing, a person who is always ready to share knowledge, always ready to listen. And he is so good in his area of study, such that when he gets up, when we were in opposition to talk about the energy sector, you had nothing else to do than to listen and listen carefully to him and learn from him. Mr. Speaker, during the vetting, you could hear the truth and nothing but the truth that he had to say. He knows for himself that it's a sector that he shouldn't play with, and which he did. Mr. Speaker, immediately after the vetting, he had to come out to talk about the issue of some energy deficits and how there was the possibility of us having lights out, which we don't want to hear about. And when he was questioned, he said it and said it as it is. He wasn't saying it because maybe he was interested in just talking for himself or giving himself that accolade. No, he said it as it is. And he said,
Honorable, hold on. Yes, Honorable
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
We have a report, a 48-page report.
Yes.
On 3 ministerial nominees.
Yes.
We have 25 members to contribute to the report.
Yes.
The appointments committee has to go back and vet 2 other nominees. I beg of you to please regulate the time so that members will have the opportunity to make their contribution to the motion. That's my pleasure.
Well noted. Honorable Larry. Yes, Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, let me also state that at the pre-sitting, it was agreed that member should not speak more than 5 minutes. That was the limitation placed at a pre-sitting. So, Mr. Speaker, we need to go strictly by it
very well.
So that we can go and continue.
So, Honorable Ladi, I think I precautioned you and other members will be speaking that 5 minutes will be allotted to each member. So please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's unfortunate I thought it was a point of order on what I was saying. I didn't know it was the issue of time. But I would let it go. With him, I can't talk much. But he will begin calling my name locally. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Honorable Abdullah Jinapo, John, congratulations. I wish you all the best. And I hope that we continue to have lives on. Mr. Speaker, my own brother, Honorable Dominic, has been one of the persons that I have always liked to talk to, and I go personally to discuss issues with him because of his demeanor. He is so diplomatic. He is said that he will go on to let you understand why he goes a particular tangent.
Honorable,
and
please wind up for me.
I wish him all the best. He knows what I am saying, and I know once he's been a deputy minister before, he's going to work better as a minister. My big brother, congratulations, and I wish you all the best, and take care of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, let's remind ourselves the time, 5 minutes, please. It's not that we are cutting anybody short, but apart from this, we have other business that we will confront ourselves with. So please, let's respect the time. At times, it's not palatable to say, Honorable Member, your time is up, so please wind up or stop. But if I have to do that, I'll do that, please. Yes. Honorable Member for Asante Akem Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to first congratulate the nominees. Honorable Dominic Aine is my classmate for 5 years at the Faculty of Law and the Law School. So I know him very well to be a man of his own word and of good integrity. Mr. Speaker, he's a very hard-working gentleman and a very brilliant young man. He's worked very hard to be where he is. When we came into politics, I thought he was not interested, but later he joined us, and he has been a good politician, having served at the ministry as a deputy minister before Ghanaians decided that he should go and rest. Mr. Speaker, I have worked with Honorable Jinapo, whom we call JJ, on Finance Committee, and I've always admired him as a young man, for his background and the knowledge that he has in steering the affairs of the committee. Though sometimes mischievous, but we play with those things. And then finally, I would want to also congratulate especially Honorable Kesolato Forson. He's a fine gentleman. He has taught us a lot of things at the Finance Committee, and he has always lived by his word. Mr. Speaker, I have no doubt that these three gentlemen that the President had selected, I have so much confidence in them. I can only say and advise that they should not disappoint us. They should live up to the confidence that we have in them in order that Ghanaians would benefit from the nominations that the President had made. With this, Mr. Speaker, I would want to again wish them all the best if they are given the nod in their new career. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe we can all take hew with the time. Very snappy, and he was able to touch all the three. Indeed, he was a teacher. So it is now the turn for a member for Cape Coast South. Honorable members have been given a list, so I'm just going by the list. How will you know? Yes, Honorable Rekit.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the motion, item 10.3 on the other paper. Mr. Speaker, in doing so, I'd like to first of all congratulate the three gentlemen, Honorable Dr. Kesolato Forson, who is a Minister designate for the Ministry of Finance, Honorable John Jinapo, who is going to the Ministry of Energy, and Dr. Honorable Dominic Ayeni, who is the Minister designate for the Attorney General and the Ministry of Justice. Mr. Speaker, I think at the veteran, Honorable Forson distinguished himself very well. He said all that he needed to say as a minister who is yet about to go to a ministry. And he did promise to deliver the promises that His Excellency the President had made in terms of tax that we hope to repeal. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Forson was at the Ministry of Finance as a deputy minister with myself over 8 years ago. He's been a ranking member of the Finance Committee for I think 6 or 7 years. So he's basically been following the Finance Ministry for at least over a decade. I have no doubt in my mind his ability to perform his duties as the minister in the times that we are in. And I wish him all the best, and I know that he will do well. We are all here to support him, to make sure that he succeeds in this difficult economic climate that this country is seeing at the moment. Mr. Speaker, I'll move on to Honorable John Jinapo, a fine gentleman who is passionate about matters that involve energy. And I think he's followed energy matters for a very long time. I have no doubt in my mind that he's the right person to go to the ministry in these difficult times. With Dr. Dominic Ayeni, my good friend, congratulations. The interesting thing is that all three gentlemen here have previously been deputy ministers
of the ministries that they are going. So it shows clearly the succession plan that the NDC has in terms of promotion of people to positions. So the places they are going are not new to them. And I know that they will do well. We pray and hope that we all support them to succeed. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It is now the turn of Honorable Boama.
Mr. Speaker, I had the opportunity to sit at the vetting, so I'm yielding to Honorable Kwabena Bonkroma. He is not on the list.
Kojo is on,
so,
in the list.
Honorable Member for Takoradi, please.
Very well. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion moved on the nominations of the President. Mr. Speaker, I believe that the first person we are interested in is Honorable Baato Forson, who is also a schoolmate, even though he was my junior. He's been a very good friend whilst we both came to Parliament. And I believe that the nomination is in the right direction. More so, when he has been a member of the Finance Committee for a very long time and been a part of the NDC campaign. Mr. Speaker, if you take a lot of the pronouncements and the campaign promises made by the NDC, naturally finance was a major part of it. It is therefore unfortunate when nominees like my friend Ato and others are asked direct questions on the promises, they tend to tell you that wait for them to show us their next budget. They tell us, wait, let's go to the ministry before we get the full view of the data. So the question I ask myself is that not downgrading our politics? That kind of attitude, is that not downgrading our politics? I believe that it's time that we politicians start making promises that we are sure about the data and how effectively we are going to implement it for the benefit of Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, another area Honorable Ato Forson had made some suggestions which I believe are good and we need to encourage is the use of the taxes or some part of the taxes paid by the informal sector being used as pensions for themselves. I believe that is one area he has mentioned, and I implore him that as he gets the nod, you make sure that the implementation of these ideas are effected immediately so that we can formalize the informal sector. Mr. Speaker, the other area you had also mentioned had to do with the issue of value for money, the issues of investor confidence, issues of employment and entrepreneurship in particular. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of value for money, I believe that is one area we need to quickly look at in a very big way, especially the processes at the Ministry of Finance. In situations where loans are approved in Parliament, and sometimes it takes over 1 year before projects are implemented, goes a long way to affect the real value we deliver or get out of these projects. Mr. Speaker, we've had challenges in this country where we continue to do roads projects that are too expensive, and the value we get out of it over a period of time diminishes. Are some of the issues I believe that they should also be looking at. On entrepreneurship, Mr. Speaker, one of the biggest challenges we have in this country is the concept of all young people believing and thinking that after school, government will employ them. Mr. Speaker, That is one major difficulty that we've had as politicians. And I believe that investment in the area of private sector, small businesses, medium-scale businesses that Ghanaians can manage for the long term should be one area that government should be investing a lot of public funds starting from now to make sure that we can expand that area, use that to generate employment, also use that to generate taxes for the country. On the issue of the nominee for Attorney General, Mr. Speaker, I worked with Dr. Ayini on the subsidiary committee for the last 4 years, and he has shown to be moderate. He has shown to believe in consensus, and he has always stood his grounds and admitted his mistake. And I believe that is one person that, quite frankly, we are all happy he's gotten this nomination. I believe that the House would also support and make sure that he becomes the next Attorney General to be able to do the work for Ghana. Last but not least, I'll talk about John Paul JJ. I'd worked with him on the transition at Energy Ministry, and I believe that since he has a lot of information and he has worked in that sector, all we are praying is that do not come back. All we are praying is that the fuel will flow as that happened in the last 7 years.
Thank you.
And with these few words, Mr. Speaker,
thank you very much.
I support this nomination to go to so I can start with. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's now turn to Honorable Xavier Sosu.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the motion ably moved for the approval of the 3 nominees of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Atufosin has shown extreme leadership in this House and shown in-depth knowledge in finance and national economy, which I believe makes his nomination one of the finest and one of the best. Mr. Speaker, it is often said that true leadership is revealed by adversity. Mr. Speaker, you would bear testimony to the fact that Dr. Atufosin was one of the people who was politically targeted. And throughout last year, 2 years ago, he had to endure all manner of attack on his personality. He had to endure going to court while serving as a very, very firm voice of the opposition on the Finance Committee. And Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Member for Medina, hold on.
Very well, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I must sound a caution. My friend said that Honorable Atufosin was politically targeted. And I think this is not fair, and this is below the belt, to say that he was politically targeted. I think this must be expunged from the records. And because if he's asked to justify why he was politically or the circumstances of political target, I'm not sure the honorable member will be able to justify this. I'm grateful.
Thank you so much. Honorable Xavier, once you are also an officer of the court, I think you do as the honest and withdraw that.
Mr. Speaker, I respectfully withdraw that statement.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Atufosin was one of the members of Parliament last year that underwent all kinds of struggles, let me put it that way, in the face of delivering his work before this very House. But, Mr. Speaker, you will agree with me that he distinguished himself. He was firm, he was principled, he stood his grounds to defend his position when it comes to matters of the economy. You recall how he led our side to fight fiercely against the e-levy. And Mr. Speaker, what is good about Dr. Tuforsin is the fact that even now at the vetting committee, he stood his position to say that definitely the NDC government is going to honor its promise by scraping off the e-levy and other taxes that he's always to buy. Mr. Speaker, Tuforsin represents some inspiration to young people because he's in his 40s and yet he's already distinguished himself, rising through the ranks to the highest pinnacle of becoming a finance minister. And Mr. Speaker, that is an inspiration to all of us, and I believe that he is definitely going to carry the people of Ghana through and honor all the promises that the NDC has made in its manifesto, particularly when it comes to youth employment. Mr. Speaker, our brother and friend John Jinakbo has also distinguished himself as a member of parliament and also shown very excellent knowledge when it comes to the energy sector. And I believe that he's also going to do very well and be an answer to the energy challenges that we were plunged into by the former administration. Mr. Speaker, finally, Dr. Ayine was my lecturer and has been an inspiration to me in various ways. And Mr. Speaker, I must say that in the last parliament, when I led some private bills like the abolition of the death penalty, Dr. Ayine played a key role in ensuring that we achieve that goal of abolishing the death penalty, criminalizing witchcraft accusation. Mr. Speaker, I would want to use this opportunity to urge Dr. Ayine that Ghana still has to sign the second optional protocol to the ICCPR and also work on removing the death penalty from the Armed Forces Act. And I hope that as he assumes this ministry, he will lead the way to make this happen. And most importantly, also work on the non-custodial sentences for petty crime. Thank you very much, Speaker. I wish him the best, and I wish all of them the best, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. It is now the turn of Dr. Gideon Buapo. Doc, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to support the motion ably moved for the ministers.
Honorable member, may you speak up a bit?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise in appreciation of the opportunity you have given me to comment on the nominees whose reports have been brought before this House. Right Honorable Speaker, the ministers we are considering today, as has been said by one of us, have all served as deputy ministers in the respective ministries that they are going. And Mr. Speaker, it's interesting that the government led by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is a government on a reset agenda, that these nominations indicate an upgrade from former deputy ministers to substantive ministers. It gives an indication that, indeed, it is good to upgrade in life as human beings. Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Dr. K.C.L. Tuforsin, who has been nominated to the prestigious office of the Finance Minister, is a distinguished personality. He served as a member of Parliament. He served on the Finance Committee. He's been a Deputy Minister for Finance before. So truly, his competence and experience in the ministry he's going to is not questionable. The Honorable Minister-designate came to the KNUST at the time I was a lecturer there at the business school for one of his programs. But Mr. Speaker, once we approve the Minister for Finance, it is important for me to note that he is going into that office to perform three main functions as any finance manager will perform. He's going to take investment decisions for the country, financing decisions for the country, and budgeting decisions. Mr. Speaker, it is important as a country, having one of us going to such ministries, to remind ourselves that we need to enter into contracts that the Ghanaian people will have value for money. Recently, His Excellency the President met the President of the African Development Bank and put before them initiatives and projects that the government wants to embark upon. Mr. Speaker, we have been on this curve before, and Ghana in the past have procured some loans for infrastructure projects, and most of these loans have come at exorbitant prices to the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, if you indulge me, I should like to remind the minister going for the finance minister that in the year 2015, the government of Ghana, through the African Development Bank, took a loan for the Terminal 3 project. That loan came with an interest of 8.5%, so high for the Ghanaian people. It took the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to renegotiate that interest down to 5%. Also, the initial loan agreement for the Temako-Sombo standard gauge railway project that was contracted by the NDC government that the Honorable Atto-Forson was the deputy minister came with an interest of 6-month LIBOR plus 1.75%. Mr. Speaker, this was so high, and it took the government of the NPP to renegotiate this down to 6-month LIBOR plus 1.5%. Then again, Mr. Speaker,
Honorable,
if you look at the Pokuasi interchange.
Honorable Member, I believe you'll get time for you to debate some of these issues.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let's begin to wind up for me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the point I am making is that as the minister heads to the ministry to take financing decisions for the country, we must ensure that if we are going for loans, we go for cheaper loans. If we are procuring financing, we must ensure that the financing we are procuring are not coming at exorbitant prices to the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, in winding up, I want to comment briefly on the Honorable Minister for Energy, John Jinapo. Mr. Speaker.
I give you 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, something that is of utmost interest to the Ghanaian people today is electricity tariffs. I wish to remind the minister that Ghanaian people will be very appreciative if he's able to work to reduce prices on the tariffs of electricity. And Mr. Speaker, just to support what I'm saying with this data, Ghanaians have gone through a lot. In 2009, there was no increase in electricity tariffs.
Honorable Member.
Mr. Speaker, in 2010, Ghanaians paid 10%. In 2011, 8.9%. In 2012, 7.4%. In 2013, 58%. In 2014, 28%. Mr. Speaker, in the heat of doomsday, we were paying 90%.
Honorable Member, thank you so much. You get the opportunity.
If you just oppose this.
Honorable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member, you get the opportunity one day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So that you can give up your. Thank you very much. Honorable members, please.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I just want to
Honorable Leader, is first time.
I want to advise. I just want to advise my colleague. I understand that this is a very exciting time for you, and that's why we were indulging you. But please, when the Speaker asks you to wind up, please do so. It's very, very important. We work towards the Speaker, and so when he tells you to wind up, please do so.
Thank you very much. It is now the turn of Honorable Ampenyako Asujaman. Please.
Thank you.
Work around 5 minutes for me.
Mr. Speaker, I'll try to do less than 5 minutes. No. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the announcement of the nomination of these 3 honorable members, Honorable Dr. Ato Forsen, Honorable John Jinafo, and Honorable Ayini, was greeted by Ghanaians with a lot of excitement and approval. And in fact, it tells all of us that President Mahama has started getting things right. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, there is one thing that is common about all these nominees, and it is the fact that they are all being nominated to ministries that they previously worked as deputy ministers. In fact, Dr. Ato Forsen was Deputy Minister for Finance, John Jinapor was Deputy Minister for Energy, and Dr. Ayeni was Deputy Attorney General. And this tells us something, that if you are given an opportunity and you work hard, one day you will be recognized. Oh, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Opal Kroma is harassing me. One day, you will be recognized and you will be elevated to higher heights. And so this is a lesson to everybody, that any opportunity that you get, no matter how small it is, work hard and one day you will be rewarded. Mr. Speaker, their responses showed clearly that they are ready for the work and they appreciate fully the task ahead of them. In fact, Dr. Ato Forsen stated clearly that he is going to walk the talk. President Mahama intends to walk the talk and to deliver on all the promises that he made to Ghanaians. I was so excited hearing him give assurance to the committee, through the committee to all Ghanaians, that in the next budget, Ghanaians will see the repeal of those taxes that we spoke against when we were in opposition. That e-levy will be abolished, that betting tax will be abolished, and others. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Ato Forsen made rather an ambitious promise that he aims to work hard to bring inflation down to 8% plus or minus 2. Knowing that inflation had risen to over 50% under the previous administration, it is quite refreshing to note that that is one of his targets, that will bring down inflation to a single digit. We know that inflation came down to around 20-something%. But if that is one of the targets of Dr. Ato Forsen at the ministry, then it is very encouraging, and I believe all of us will work hard to support for the realization of this. Mr. Speaker, he explained the 24-hour economy, and contrary to what the leader said, that he said he's going to be only about the real sector, that was not his response. He said we will focus on the real sector. In fact, we, the NDC, have stated clearly that selected public institutions with large customers like DVLA, like the Harbor, like Passport Office, will all be under the 24-hour economy, and it will help create a lot of jobs for us. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Ayeni has demonstrated to the admiration of all of us in this House that he knows the subject, he knows law, and that when he worked at the Attorney General's office, he really learned, and he's going to bring that to bear in the execution of his duty. I admire Dr. Ayeni for one thing, that he is a very principled man. In fact, he took certain positions that were unpopular to those of us in his party, but he stood by them and said that with my background and everything, this is what I believe should be done. This is the man that is going to the Attorney General's department. And so when the minority leader was appealing that he shouldn't go and persecute political opponents and all that, I can assure him that the man going to this office is principled and he will do his work very well. Finally, on Honorable Jinapo, he's my friend. If I don't mention him, it will be fair. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Jinapo, someone I have worked with on the Finance Committee, has also demonstrated that he is ready to help us solve the energy challenges. He said something about power purchasing agreements, and I was so happy with that response because an erroneous impression has always been created that it was wrong for us to have take-or-pay clauses in power purchasing agreements. But he demonstrated that even succeeding governments after him signed about 6 agreements that also included take-or-pay clauses. Thank you very much. So I encourage all of us to approve these nominees. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. It is now the turn of Honorable John Daku.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity given to me to support the motion for the approval of the 3 nominees in the persons of Dr. Dominic Ayeni and Honorable Kaisel Atuba Forsen and Honorable John Jinapo. In the case of Honorable John Jinapo and Dr. Ayeni, I had the opportunity to put some few questions to them during the vetting. I believe their answers to the questions are out there. I believe the jury is still out there on whether their answers were satisfactory or not. But Mr. Speaker, I did not get a chance to ask the Finance Minister nominee 1 or 2 questions that I had, and I want to bring that to the fore. Mr. Speaker, when the Finance Minister nominee, Honorable Dr. Atuba Forsen, appeared before the committee, he presented a CV which I went through. Mr. Speaker, when I went through the CV, I saw that the Honorable Finance Minister nominee has stated that he was once a director of a company called Protect Integrated Services Limited in the UK. Mr. Speaker, when I tried to search on the company, I realized that honorable nominee's dates in which he claimed he was a director showed that he was a director from 2003 to 2005. The search at the UK's company registry, which is on the internet, shows that that company was actually set up in February 2005. I also realized that when you go through the company's record, Honorable Minister nominee's name wasn't there as a director, contrary to what he has stated on his CV. And the search also showed that that company was liquidated sometime in 2009. I mean, this is going to be a Minister of Finance for the country. And I was wondering how somebody who is going to run our country will become a director, who's going to run our finance ministry, was once a director of a company which has been folded up. And then the fact that the dates in which he claimed he was a director clearly shows that he wasn't a director at the time. He was a director. The company was actually set up in 2005 when he said he was a director in 2003 to 2005. So, Mr. Speaker, if it's a mistake, we would like to have the Honorable Minister to come and clarify that.
Hold on. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the practice in the UK is that when you are going to start a business, initially you don't register it. There are few businesses that start as registered businesses. You start under a concept known as trading at. So you trade as a particular name and you do business until the business is well established to a point where you can now go and formally register that name as the business.
Mr. Speaker, no.
So he started trading as that name and worked for about 2 years, after which he then went and registered the company. The records are there. You don't understand the concept, you can Google it. Trading as, and you will see it. That is a very common practice that is encouraged in the UK. And so this business was conducted in the UK, and that is how it started. That is why at the point that you are talking about, it wasn't registered, but it actually was an existing business. Go and check. Just Google it on your phone. You will see that in the UK, it is a common and accepted practice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Darpo, you may conclude.
Mr. Speaker, very briefly, point of clarification.
No, I'm not giving you the opportunity.
Mr. Speaker, that's a clear misinformation to the House, Mr. Speaker, on UK company law and practice.
Mr. Speaker.
Hold on. Let me give the opportunity to the chairman of the committee.
Right, Honorable Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity. The Speaker, it is observable from the fact that members get up without catching the eyes of the Speaker, then they will put on the microphone. Mr. Speaker, they have gone through an orientation. So this habit can no longer be entertained in this House. So once again, members should take note that by practice and convention in this House, you get up until you catch the eyes of the Speaker. You do not put on your microphone. It's not looking good. We've gone through the orientation exercise with them. So I don't want to see this reoccurring.
Thank you very much. Yes, Honourable John Darko, you may continue.
Honourable Speaker, so I was saying the company, the registered company that we know, which is the Protect Integrated Services Limited, was registered in 2005. I don't care what my learned colleague on the other side is saying, that you have to operate the company at a particular or for a particular period before it is registered. I think that it is inaccurate. What we are dealing with is a registered company, and that is what he has provided to this House and the people of Ghana, that he was a director of that company, Protect Integrated Services Limited, from 2003 to 2005. If it's a mistake, you should come to this House to correct it. This is a House of record. He is going to be the Minister for Finance, and it is important that some of these things are corrected. Mr. Speaker, on that I yield.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Member. You take the last from the majority side, from Honourable Yusuf Suleimana.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to contribute to the motion that is before us this afternoon. Mr. Speaker, indeed, the three gentlemen that have been nominated and vetted are really assets to this nation. Mr. Speaker, we all know Honorable Atu Fortin. We are aware of his humility, somebody who is very focused, very diligent, and very knowledgeable. And this was demonstrated when he was vetted. His responses
were asked. The Speaker, when he was asked on the issue of tax exemptions, he was clear that we should give tax exemptions to companies that really deserve this, and that we should be fair in giving out these tax exemptions. And that, for me, is something that we all have to take into consideration. And this is a person that needs to occupy this very important position so that he will demonstrate fairness and not be biased. Mr. Speaker, let me also touch on my own brother, my younger brother, Honorable John Abdullahi Jinapo, a young man with vision, a young man who has demonstrated competence, a young man very knowledgeable when it comes to energy and finance, a young man who is able to give us assurance that Dumso will be a thing of the past. We have just inherited Dumso, something that the John Mahama administration had worked to resolve. We inherited it from you. And this young gentleman gave us the hope that Dumso will not resurface in this country. And he has taken pragmatic steps to ensure that we don't sleep in darkness. You don't sleep in darkness. And so you should begin clapping for him. You should begin clapping for him. That the mess you have caused, this young man, a visionary leader, has given us hope. And these are the kind of people that we expect His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to put into very strategic positions like this. And so I call on you unanimously to approve these men of integrity so that the mess that we have inherited, they will be able to resolve that for us. Mr. Speaker, lastly, I don't want to take so much time. Lastly, Honorable Dominic Ayeni, when the name is mentioned, people shiver. This is a man that we all know. His credibility level is high. You can compare him to other outgoing attorney general and what have you. You can compare them and you see a difference. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Dominic Ayeni, a lecturer, an experienced lawyer, in fact, some of us seated here are even his students. I can see some of them seated there and listening. This is a man who taught you, and you know his worth. And that's the man who's not coming to lead you when it comes to issues of law and issues of courts in this country. I think you should be clapping for Mama for giving you such a respected person that even in the international front, when he speaks, he brings credibility to Ghana. And so, once again, I want to call on you.
Thank you.
To rise up and give a unanimous approval to these young men to save us from the position that we have inherited.
Thank you.
God bless you all. Mr. Speaker, I'm very grateful.
Thank you. Lastly, we will listen to Honorable Kojo Ponko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it appears that the NDC has an act for 3 wise men. When President Mills was in power, he had his 3 wise men. And President Mahama appears to have started off with his 3 wise men, our brothers who have been nominated and who have performed creditably when they appeared before the Appointments Committee. Dr. Ayeni was Deputy Attorney General when I was called to the bar. He actually handed me my qualifying certificate of law. His track record is well known and well respected. We wish him well. He's not only going to be Attorney General, he's also going to be Minister responsible for justice. Mr. Speaker, justice is a subject that across the country many people still look forward to. Court infrastructure, residences for magistrates and judges, the kind of budgets that must go there, the availability of lawyers for legal aid to ensure that justice is done in the nooks and crannies of this country. These are things that we expect Dr. Ayeni in addition to other functions to pay attention to, and wish him well. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable John Jinapor, our brother, is well versed in the subject of energy and finance. He has offered a lot of explanations about take or pay and things that have gone on in the past. Mr. Speaker, no matter the explanations you give, and I speak as a former member of cabinet, a few lessons that we can share with our colleagues. No matter the explanations that you give, what the people of Ghana are waiting for is that fuel prices don't go up, the electricity prices don't go up, the fuel is available at the pumps, but the lights don't go off. We wish our brother well, and we hope he delivers in that area. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Dr. Atuforsen spoke about 4 things I want to briefly comment on. One was on raising revenue. The Honorable Dr. Atuforsen says that his target is to move tax to GDP ratio from 13% to about 18%. That's about 500 basis points. Mr. Speaker, 1% of GDP is about 10 billion Ghana cedis. So to move it from 13 to 18 is about 50 billion Ghana cedis. At a time when, as we have agreed across the political divide, some tax handles should be removed. E-levy, COVID, betting. E-levy and COVID alone, nothing less than 20 billion. So what he's promising us is that he's going to take away about 20 billion from the revenue handles, but still grow it by another 50. We are hoping that he will do that without introducing new taxes or renaming some of the taxes. And whatever he will do in that area, we will support him and help him. If it works well and Ghana moves to 18% of GDP, it works well for all of us. Mr. Speaker, he spoke about expenditure cuts and says that he's committed to it. On this side of the House, we had already advertised that we are looking forward to about a cut of 3% of GDP. So we'll be looking forward to expenditure cut that he will present in his first budget, and we'll help him to achieve it. However, Mr. Speaker, whatever cuts we do, we should ensure that quality of projects are not being sacrificed. We should expect that ongoing projects that are delivering value to Ghanaians are not sacrificed. Yesterday, the Honorable Agboja at his vetting mentioned that commitment on roads is about 100 billion. That means about 100 billion worth of road projects ongoing. These cuts, we are hoping, will not lead to a stop of the major critical road and other infrastructure projects across the country. Mr. Speaker, the third thing he spoke about, which I want to briefly comment on, is debt management. That under his administration, they will do better in debt management. At the same time, he's considering taking some more money from the IMF. That's not a grant, that's debt. What is that debt going to do? Worsen our debt situation or improve it? So, Mr. Speaker, we'll be looking forward to these things and helping our brother to achieve those objectives. And finally, the respected minority leader drew attention to the fact that when the president issued the EI on the ministries, he said Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. But when he issued the communication to the Speaker, he said Minister responsible for finance. We will urge our brother to avoid the trap of creating the impression that he is responsible for the economy. The minister responsible for fiscal policy, the minister responsible for finance, like my brother Ricketts knows, is the minister responsible for fiscal policy, not the whole economy. There are external economic developments that he doesn't have control over. There are things happening in the monetary policy space that he doesn't have control over. There are real sector economic issues in other areas that other ministers will be taking decisions and impacting the economy. He doesn't have control over that. So from our lessons, we wish them well. We will give them all the support that we can. If it works well for all of us. And with these few words, Mr. Speaker, we will support the motion that the brothers be approved to take up their position. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, at the conclusion of the debate, the question is, as many as are in favor of the motion listed (13) Yes. Yes. The question is, as many as are in favor of the motion listed 11 in today's order paper, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, It is obvious. The ayes have it. The motion is hereby adopted. And that this Honorable House has adopted His Excellency the President's nomination of Honorable Dr.
.9 and afei so TVXYZ egu so a yɛde mmarahyɛbadwa fie nkɔmmɔtwetwe no ɛbrɛ mu na nkɔmmɔ no afa first batch of nominees His Excellency John Dramani Mahama de kɔto mmarahyɛbadwa fie anim a yɛatoto wɔn no abisabisa wɔn nsɛm wɔ appointment committee afei berɛ no aduru so yɛbɛgye wɔn atom na wɔmatumi anya akwanya akɔyɛ adwuma nti baabi a yɛduru no after the debate no obiara ka wɔn asɛm ɛkyerɛ ɛnɔm a osusu sɛ ɛwɔ sɛ wɔn focus on wabra wɔn kɔ wɔn various ministries no afei na aduru sɛ yɛbɛto abana yɛakyerɛ sɛ yɛagye wɔn atom anaasɛ yɛnyɛ wɔn atom but based on yɛteyɛ ansa na feed no ɛte akɔ no kame ayɛ sɛ ayɛs no deɛ wɔn have it.
Yes. Honorable First Deputy Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. As the mover of the motion, I want to use the opportunity to thank the Appointment Committee and the entire House for adopting the report of the unanimous decision of the committee by consensus. Right Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the nominee, I sincerely thank the entire House. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Leadership? Leadership? Yes.
Honorable Speaker, we intend to go and continue the vetting of the president nominees. And I think on that note, we will ask that you suspend the House for us to allow the appointment committee to do that work, and then we can come back with the second report. That was the agreement.
Yes, Honorable Minority Leader. But are the reports not ready?
Speaker, I disagree with him. Respectfully, I disagree with him because we had conclave, and Speaker, two very important statements have been admitted, and it's important we allow members to read their statement. At this time, yes, it's important. They are equally important. Speaker, so you were not at conclave, and you admit that. You were not there. Good. So, Speaker, we should rather proceed to take item 8, after which we can decide on what next.
Honorable Speaker, indeed, that was the agreement. I wasn't there, but it's been agreed that there will be a statement taken, and then 2 statements. Yes. Thank you.
Well, honorable members, let's turn to page 2. Page 2 in today's order paper. Page 2. Item listed 8, statements. The first statement is from our colleague from Suhum, Honorable Bequin Frank Asiedu.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, let's hear you. I was going to talk about the topic, but I can't see the headings well, so you can go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, I am honored to join my colleagues in congratulating you on your re-election as the Speaker for the 9th Parliament.
As second Deputy Speaker. Yes. Go on.
For the 4th Republic, and do welcome you back to the Speaker's chair. Mr. Speaker, permit me to also thank the illustrious sons and daughters of Suhum constituency for electing me into this August House, and I promise to serve them in dignity and in truth. Mr. Speaker, I am fortified by Orders 93 and 67 FF, and to thank you for the opportunity to highlight a matter of growing importance in global public health, namely the human metapneumovirus HMPV, and how Ghana can strengthen its surveillance and preparedness efforts in response to this virus. HMPV is a respiratory virus known to cause symptoms often to the common cold, including a stuffy nose, cough, shortness of breath, sore throat, fever, and occasionally rash. While HMPV typically presents with mild illness, it can be more severe in young children, adults over 65 years, and individuals with weakened immune systems, which can result in mortality. It mirrors some of the symptoms we observe with COVID-19, underscoring why testing and proper diagnosis are essential. HMPV spreads primarily through respiratory droplets, via coughing, sneezing, and close physical contacts, such as shaking hands, hugging, or kissing. It can also be transmitted by touching objects or surfaces contaminated by the virus, and then touching one's eyes, nose, or mouth. Recent data from the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention up to the 29th of December 2024 indicates notable increase in common acute respiratory infections, including those caused by seasonal influenza viruses, respiratory syncytial virus RSV, and human metapneumovirus HMPV. This trend serves as a warning sign for countries around the world to enhance surveillance and be ready to mount a timely response. Ghana must draw on the lessons we learned during COVID-19 to protect our population. We must draw on the experience of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's administration. These included the critical role of robust surveillance systems, widespread testing, clear public health communication, and the readiness of healthcare facilities to respond to
to spikes in respiratory infections. The Ghana Health Service and all relevant public health authorities should work in tandem to strengthen surveillance, enhance public awareness campaigns, promote preventive measures, and maintain readiness of healthcare facilities. Mr. Speaker, I commend the Ghana Health Service for coming out on this matter. I therefore draw government's attention to this and to further advise it to give these state institutions the needed support to be able to handle the situation. Mr. Speaker, our collective experience with COVID-19 underscores the critical importance of vigilance, preparedness, and swift response. HMPV's similar symptoms to other respiratory infections means that our surveillance efforts must be comprehensive and well coordinated. By investing in robust public health infrastructure, we can safeguard our citizens, preserve their health, and sustain productivity. Mr. Speaker, it is incumbent upon us to assure the Ghanaian public that we stand ready to address any emerging threats to our nation's health with appropriate planning, clear communication, and collaboration across sectors. We can effectively manage HMPV and any future respiratory viruses as we think globally and act locally. Our people deserve a health system that is resilient, proactive, and committed to protecting the well-being of all. Thank you for your kind attention.
Honourable members, I have another statement. I want us to take that one as well. Then I'll invite members to contribute. You may decide to contribute to which one you are interested in. So let me invite Honourable Member for Medina to also read his statement on Ghana's leadership in ensuring the full implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Yes, leader.
Speaker, with respect to you, and Speaker, on any day I will defer to you, I want to humbly suggest, looking at the subject matter, the title of that statement that was read by Honorable Bequin, it's so important that, Speaker, this is not to challenge your directives, but I have a strong feeling that if we put the two together, we may not exhaust that particular subject matter enough. So I want to humbly appeal to you, because if we can separately take those statements and also entertain, because it's also for hands up, and I'm sure that whilst the contributions come out, we may end up giving some consequential directives. So, a humble suggestion.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with the Minority Chief Whip. Because of time conflict, we have to take the
So, Honourable Sosu, hold on. Let me invite contributors to the first statement. Yes, let me invite, today, how many ladies have spoken? No, I haven't seen any lady. So I'll give the opportunity to the two ladies who are up first before I'll give any opportunity. So let me go to Honorable Teresa. Is it Timpani? Yes, let's hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to all these important statements. Looking at the statement. The honorable member has done justice to it, but there are some few items that I want to add to the statement. As an infection that mimic pneumonia and bronchitis, Ghana Health Service should take note that when people report at the health facility, they should be able to do differential diagnosis. How do we diagnose somebody who have this virus? We can only do this by nose swabbing, taken to the laboratory, so that we are able to isolate the virus. Because it has the same symptoms with normal pneumonia and bronchitis. So Ghana Health Service has to take this virus seriously, because it's like all the viruses that is coming into this country usually come from China. Though it was discovered in 2001 or 2001 in Germany, it is mostly found in the Chinese part of the world. And that we should watch out so that we don't get up one morning and we have to have something like COVID-19 that we have in 2019. Because I have learned from what has just been read that a lot of people or schools are being closed down in China because of this particular virus. What virus are we talking of? The proper name for this virus is human pneumovirus. It's a virus that has to do with your lungs. So when you get it, you cough, and you also have symptoms like a normal pneumonia. It is serious in children where they have to go through mechanical ventilation so that they'll be able to breathe. It also has to do with people whose immune system are very low, whose immune system is predisposed, like people who have hepatitis B and HIV virus. And that when people have these symptoms and come to the health facilities, it is best to also diagnose or to also find out if they have any of this virus. Again, sitting in this chamber, you can see the sitting arrangement, that we are too close to each other. And I think that we should be looking at a way that there can be space in this chamber where if somebody is coughing, you don't know what is bringing the cough. We'll be able not to infect each other or reinfect each other. Because here, as we sit, when there's an outbreak of this virus, we are going to have a lot of people getting infected. Again, we have to look at our people who are their age is a bit high, like from 65 and above. Because at that age, their immune system is low, this virus easily attacks them, and when they attack them, they become more serious than any other person who is at a lower age. Right Honorable Speaker, I will urge the health system, Ghana Health Services, and Minister of Health to take this virus seriously. But we think that it is not here, but we should begin to do differential diagnosis so that we'll be able to isolate it, that we don't wake up one morning and get something like coronavirus that we have in 2019. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very, very much. Let me go to Etiwa West. I said I wanted to satisfy the ladies first before I come to the men. So Etiwa West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to my colleague's statement. Although the human metavirus is nothing to be panicking about, the HMPV for short, we do need to take it seriously, and we need to be vigilant. So we as leaders, we're on the ground, so we have a direct impact on our communities, our constituencies. We need to work with the local assemblies to promote preventative measures such as hand washing, trying not to shake. I know it's a culture, but perhaps we have to limit shaking of hands or wearing of masks when you feel ill so that we prevent a catastrophe. We'll all recall when COVID-19 started. It was not to worry, not a problem, it's not a big deal, but look how it morphed into catastrophic losses. So we're not trying to create fear or panic, but we do need to be vigilant and promote these preventative measures. And we do need a Ghana Health Service also to implement robust surveillance systems that will do early detection to prevent any crisis. I must commend the Ghana Health System because during COVID, they were excellent in the contact tracing and tracking. And I'm very confident that with this seeming threat, they will also be committed to implement and put in place some robust surveillance systems which will prevent will detect any looming threats and also prevent the crisis. So, Mr. Speaker, we do have a responsibility to be proactive. So that's what I'm basically getting up here to speak about. We have to be proactive and educate, and make the public aware, make our constituents aware of this threat, although it is not, it's been around for years, but it can be deadly in infants, and as my colleague from the majority side said, in the elderly as well. So once we keep the public informed and educated, I believe that we'll be able to prevent any catastrophe that, because we don't want another COVID-19. So thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Yes, I want to give the opportunity to the first timers. So, yes, honorable member. See, honorable members, the first timers, please don't be offended if I ask for your name and your constituency. We need to know each other so that next time when I see you, I'll be able to call you by your name. So if I call you and ask of your constituency and your name, please don't be offended. Yes.
Speaker, if I can have the attention of the Honorable Ricketts, available leader. Yes. While Speaker was speaking, I saw your backbenchers. Him was standing. Even when the Speaker was speaking, you have to do some work at your backyard. Please, carry your members along. They must come to appreciate that when the Speaker is speaking, we will listen to the Speaker in silence. And that's what our orders say. What do you say to that?
Mr. Speaker, I take note of that. I have just arrived.
Thank you very much. I believe the orientation
says he just arrived. In what capacity? Is it
as available leader?
As an available leader, he has answered you right. Yes, my brother, let's hear you.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I am Professor Titus Bayo, Lambus constituency. Yeah, and I want to commend my colleague, the Honorable Member for Suhum, for drawing the attention of the nation to this important condition. And I will say that at this time we should call for calm. There's no need to panic because available data suggests that this is not a very deadly virus. But it is important that we strengthen our surveillance systems. And I have every confidence in the surveillance system of the Ghana Health Service, that we've used it for COVID, we've used it for other infectious diseases, and I can say it is almost foolproof. However, I would say that the call for us to adopt preventive measures has additional benefits other than protecting us from this virus. We notice how during the COVID, in the height of the COVID, when we're all practicing hand washing, social distancing, and the use of the face masks, we had 0 cholera cases in the country and 0 cholera deaths during that period.
That is one benefit we stand to gain if we practice these measures. So I want to call on honorable members in this chamber, as a colleague alluded to. When you develop symptoms of any flu, cough, cold, it is advisable to use the face mask, whether you have been treated or diagnosed of any condition or not. And then I would conclude by saying that we implore the health system, especially the diagnostic services, Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, to improve their diagnosis to see, just in case we have some of these cases lurking around, so they can raise the necessary alerts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me now come to Dr. Mahama.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the opportunity to comment on this statement by the Honourable Member for Sukhum. Mr. Speaker, the subject matter is very important, and I'll join my colleagues in asking that we treat it with the utmost urgency, because we had similar experience in the case of COVID, where we were asked to stay calm, not to shiver, not to get scared, but we were faced with a catastrophic that was declared as a national pandemic or global pandemic by the WHO. And Mr. Speaker, if the House would note, COVID, based on our experience, has led to over 700 million infections with over 6 million deaths. The economic cost of COVID to families, individuals, was so huge. The cost of COVID to Ghana was unimaginable and very burdensome. And I think that we will need to take this issue seriously, and my colleagues mentioned about surveillance, but much more important is the need for us to scale up and safeguard the initiative that the former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo took, i.e., we instituted or we commissioned the National Vaccine Institute. This was supposed to wrap up our local capacity in terms of development of vaccine in the case of emergency like one we are facing now, the imminent threat of HPV virus. Also, we had the Agenda 111 project, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, such a disaster, if I may call it, such an outbreak will require that we prepare in terms of the health infrastructure. And I think that this is a clarion call to the President and the Executive to make sure that they wrap up work on the Agenda 111 project so that if any eventuality do happen, we'll be adequately prepared to address that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, since we have another statement and there are other business to also conduct, I will take one, then we'll listen to the other statement. So let me listen to the one. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Emmanuel Procedural, Upper West Achim. This is a very important national issue globally. And my take on this has to do with the fact that we have institutions that are highly responsible for some of these emergencies. Taking the veterinary services, for instance, a lot of research has shown that some of these outbreaks are from animals. Till today, I'm yet to know whether the veterinary services division or department is under Ministry of Agric or the Ghana Health Service. And I think it is time we start involving some of these very important national institutions that can take control of some of these issues. Mr. Speaker, it will surprise you to
know that if you get to the head office of the Veterinary Services Department, just around this area, how deteriorated their structures are. The systems are failing. And so I think it will be prudent to get the right institutions involved. Sometimes you see the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission going around from chop bar to chop bars, checking some of these animals that are cooked.
Power 97.9 FM nti Ghana's parliament na that's why share ekoswo Parliament House nkoma omudidi nkoma yitie no yedi kan homa na omoka efa COVID ho kwan ombefa so ombeso anu bi bebie ma anamonto oso omutu efa no yare bia eba betumi edini panya niema ombeje so omodo to betumi abo ho komo ne bi na omudi wo Ghana's parliament ayedi ho komo no omugusu a business of the day omoka ho asem wo Parliament House nti nkomo ne bi na yetete ya yeguso no mbrepam ye beba abai mu na yehu na meka wo se omo boy me de eye dwumadi ede brel ye eye edu herbal clinic ye eye
mind the effects of COVID-19 and even have forgotten about the measures that we once instituted to prevent, viruses of this nature escalating to become pandemics. Even though there's information in the media space, as I said, there's very little that's being done. Mr. Speaker, reminiscent of the lingering plagues that many countries have suffered due to COVID-19, we need to start embarking on awareness creation at all levels. And I think this August House should be a shining example to this country. Mr. Speaker, common preventive measures like washing of hands, social distancing, covering of nose and mouth when sneezing can be encouraged and enforced once again. And I would like to repeat that this House can set the example to the country. Mr. Speaker, I suggest that institutions like the NCCE should start immediately with a public awareness campaign to ensure that we do not go back and suffer the consequences and the costly consequences of an outbreak that is mirroring COVID-19. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Before we move to the next statement, let me say this. The statement is very, very important, and it needs urgent attention. The House have not yet constituted the committees yet, so we don't have committee of health. Neither do we have the ministers of state in place. So let me urge the Ghana Health Service to put in place measures that will curtail this particular urgent health issue. And I will urge the leadership, especially the business committee, if possible, if you can plan, to invite Ghana Health Service leadership to also come and brief the House. I think that can also help. Yes.
Speaker, just to commend you highly for the consequential directives given in the wake of the statement duly delivered by our colleague, and the directives spot on. Except to say that, Speaker, in this House, we've always been guided often by some timelines, especially where matters of such importance has come up on the House floor. So I will further plead with you, if you may, we should give some timelines when the Ghana Health Service will be programmed by the Business Committee
for them to apprise members duly. Timelines will be of essence, Speaker.
Well. I hope the business committee will meet on Thursday to decide the ensuing week. So you are part of the business committee. Let me assign you so that you table it at the business committee on Thursday so that we will invite the Ghana Health Service leadership to at least come and brief the House, and by extension, brief the nation. Thank you. So, honorable members, we are going to take the second statement, but before then, kindly allow me to take item 9AB, item 9AII, item 9AII, the second report of the appointment committee on His Excellency the President nomination for appointment as ministers. So the chairman of the committee may lead the report.
Second report of the Appointments Committee on His Excellency the President's nominations for appointment as ministers.
Honourable members, the report have been duly laid. They are to be distributed to honourable members. Yes, Chairman.
Right Honourable Speaker, I rise on Standing Order 97-2. And with your permission, I read. It is under marginal note, procedure for presentation of papers, and it reads, if so desired by the person presenting a paper, a short explanatory statement may be made by the person upon the presentation of the paper. Mr. Speaker, I want to reiterate the fact that it is at this stage that Order 97 of the Standing Orders of Parliament applies, but not at the stage of the presentation of the report of the committee for adoption. Mr. Speaker, the report under reference is on His Excellency the President's nomination of Honorable Kwame Govins Agboja to the Ministry of Roads and Highways. Honorable Haruna Idrisu, Ministry of Education, and Honorable Eriko Poku, Minister Designate for the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Well. Thank you very much. Yes, Honourable Member for Menchia South.
Mr. Speaker, very respectfully, I stand on Order 97-3, which reads as follows. A short explanatory statement shall be made by the person presenting a paper where requested by the House or a member upon the presentation, to humbly request that a short explanatory statement is made to accompany each of the report on each of the nominees, Mr. Speaker, which has been presented to the House. Very respectfully submit, Mr. Speaker.
But have you gotten a copy of the report?
No. No.
Table. Please, let's be sure the reports are distributed to members. And I think the reports are self-explanatory, and members are seeking to get explanation or short explanation. But I think the reports are self-explanatory. Yes, Chairman, what do you want to say?
Right, Honorable Speaker. It is for a stated reason that I said I'm rising on Order 97-2. Mr. Speaker, Order 97-2 that I have read to the House means that the person presenting the report, if he so desires, can give a short explanation to the report being presented. Mr. Speaker, that is what exactly I have done. Mr. Speaker, let me use the opportunity to say that fresh members of Parliament should hasten slowly. Mr. Speaker, it is in the absence of the member giving a short explanation to the report and the reference that 3 can be invoked. Mr. Speaker, once the member has given the explanation based on the member's own desire, then 97.3 is no longer applicable, because 97.3 states that a short explanatory statement shall be made by the person presenting a paper where requested by the House or a member upon presentation. In this case, by my own volition, I have offered under 97.2 to give that particular explanation. So it shouldn't be the case that 97.3 should again apply, because once I've exercised my discretion to voluntarily give a short explanation, then 97.3 can no longer apply, cannot be invoked. It is the absence of exercising the right under 97.2 that request can be made. And Mr. Speaker, let me state that when a procedure is set down for a right to be exercised, it accords with common sense and reason that it is only that procedure that will have to be exercised in doing so. Mr. Speaker, let me also state that I have been in this House for some time, and I was a member of the Standing Orders Committee, and we drafted the Standing Orders of this House. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Yes, Honourable Member for Asia South.
Mr. Speaker, very respectfully, this is a matter that accords with interpretation of the rules. I once upon a time went to a lecturer of mine, an English lecturer, and I sought his interpretation of a poem that he had written. Mr. Speaker, his simple response was that when a poem is written, it is not for the author to interpret the poem, but it is for the world to interpret the poem. It is so with statute, Mr. Speaker. When a statute is written, it doesn't matter who was part in the authoring of the statute. It is for the people to interpret the statute, very respectfully. So the position taken by the learned First Deputy Speaker, very respectfully, is clearly misconceived. Mr. Speaker, on a true and proper interpretation of Order 97-3, on a true and proper interpretation of Order 97-3, only three circumstances arise. Only three circumstances that an explanatory statement may be made. Mr. Speaker, one is where the person very respectfully presenting the paper so desires. In the absence of that, a member may make a request and House may also make a request. Otherwise, 97.3 would have said, 97.2 would have said, 97.3 would have said, subject to, in the absence of the use of the word or the phrase subject to, Mr. Speaker, very respectfully, 97.3 is not subservient to 97.2. They are independent provisions of the Standing Orders. And so even in the absence of your personal desire, very respectfully, Mr. Speaker, the personal desire of a member will require that to give that explanatory statement. the desire of the House may also require that you give that explanatory statement. Very respectfully. So the statement by the first deputy speaker is clearly misconceived, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members.
And it doesn't matter whether or not a person is the first ever.
Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, it is trite learning that when interpreting a provision, the provision must be read as a whole. Mr. Speaker, reading Order 97 as a whole, there is an option for the presenter of the paper to give a short explanation. There is also an option that in the absence of a voluntary explanation, short explanation, the House or a member may request the presenter to give a short explanation. That is what Order 97, 2, and 3 is talking about. And Mr. Speaker, in this case, on my own volition, I have decided to give a short explanation after presenting my report. Having done that, it doesn't also presenting my paper. Having done that, it doesn't lie in the ambit of the House to call on me to give a short explanation that I have already given on my own volition. Mr. Speaker, this is the meaning that we can place on Standing Order 97. Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry to say that my friend should take his time and study the standing orders to say that I am misconceived the clear explanation of the standing order that I am giving is misconceived. Mr. Speaker, the least said about it, the better. Mr. Speaker, I will resist the temptation of descending into certain arenas. Mr. Speaker, I have been in this House for a long time, and I think I should put up a conduct that is worthy and deserve to be emulated, particularly by the fresh members of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Yes, Honourable First Deputy Speaker, I think you've given the explanation, only that the tail end of it was a bit. You have already given a short explanation, as you've said. He was also coming from the point of view that a member so desire can request for explanation if you refuse to do that. But like you said, you've already done that. My only problem with where it was the later, the last aspect of it. You've been here, we all came to meet you, but it doesn't matter that a first timer may also have his view. So I think we can move on. You have already given explanation to the statement, but please, I'm speaking. Yes, I'm speaking. So what I'm saying is, with respect to Order 97, the first deputy speaker has already crossed that header. He gave short explanation to it. So I think that one is. So let me, Honourable Dafiame, let me hear you briefly, and then I come to it and you move.
Speaker, very, very grateful. Speaker, this is a house of records, procedure and rules. Indeed, my brother, upon the submission by the chair of the Appointments Committee and the first deputy speaker, insisted that he appropriately invoked 97.3. And the issue is that I was hoping he would have submitted forcefully that there's no evidence of that brief explanatory memorandum being given I was hoping that he would have insisted that there's no such evidence before the House. But the chairman of the committee insisted that in invoking 97.2, he elected to give that short explanation in respect of the memorandum. So I think the issue is about what will constitute that brief explanation or short explanation. It's up to this House to decide. But whatever it is, once he submits that, as part of his presentation, the short explanation has been given, then my brother should accede that then 97.2 has been satisfied. So there will be no need to now invoke 97.3. It is when 2 has not been complied with that you invoke 3, with all due respect to him. I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Yes. Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I have followed the discussions on the floor. I respected Senior at the bar, the first Deputy Speaker. He's done 23 years or more at the bar. His law is solid. His courtroom practice comes with excellence. I respect his views. I believe that sometimes when we are young, our approach may not be the way the elderly would want to approach things. So I can understand how he feels. And I would say that when we meet at the coffee area, I'm sure my respected colleague and junior at the bar and junior in the House would find space to further engage you, and I'll facilitate that. But that notwithstanding, colleagues, this is an opportunity for us to manage ourselves. Best practices will require that where you hold a different view, you make a forceful submission and use the word or the phrase, "I disagree," with respect. So you never say somebody is wrong when it comes to a debate. But, Mr. Speaker, this matter was brought to the fore by our respected colleague, Kojo Oponkoma, this morning, which is good. It's been a good teaser, and I'm happy it's being explored. I always tell people that the best way to develop our standing orders will be to tease it out and encourage a healthy debate on same. So it's good that today, or the 97 has come to the fore. In fact, the respected Honorable Ayariga, who sooner than later will assume the back seat, actually took us through some intellectual debate. And I nicely chickened out when I realized that my arguments were very weak, and I found a way to invoke jurisprudence, Mr. Speaker. You know how we survive when things are difficult. So I was going around and all. But anyway, that's the beauty of democracy. So I'm sure Honorable Ahiafo, our respected colleague, Bafo, has taken a cue. Please, it's good you didn't take the matter too serious. But I'm sure in future he would find a better way of disagreeing with you and take it as it is. Forgive and forget. Is that okay? Yes. So you take it that it's misconceived, it's withdrawn. And in its place, the appropriate phrase is that he disagrees with you. Mr. Speaker, I shall...
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I hope the reports have been distributed. Have the reports been distributed? Very well. If the reports are yet to be distributed, Honorable members, honorable member, you need to catch my eye. Honorable member, you need to catch my eye, please.
Speaker, reports have been generally distributed. The leader just walked in. If he
So fine. So that's why I just wanted to find out whether the reports have been distributed. Honorable members, may you take your seats?
Fine.
Leadership, please take your seats first. Please, leadership, you help the chair to manage the House. Honorable members, new leaders who are here to take the right side of leadership. It's you, together with the minority, that will help the chair to manage the House. So please, let's bear in mind that we are here to do government business and to work for Ghana. So let's help each other so that once we come here, you'll be able to progress whatever is ahead of us. But before I will invite any member to speak, kindly allow me to turn you to page 2 of today's order paper, item listed 4. Honorable members, page 2, item listed 4. Message from the President. We have received a message from the Presidency, of which message I'm going to read to the House. Nomination of ministers for parliamentary approval. In accordance with Article 78(1) and 2561 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, 1992, I submit through you, Mr. Speaker, to Parliament for your prior approval the names of persons attached hereto I intend to appoint as ministers. The nominees' credentials and records of service demonstrate their competence to support the government's agenda and serve the people of Ghana effectively. Attached are their curriculum vitae and supporting documents for vetting. I trust that Parliament will expedite the approval process in accordance with constitutional requirements. Accept, Mr. Speaker, the assurance of my highest consideration. Signed, John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana. And it was addressed to the Speaker of Parliament, and the names are regional ministers: Posing Charles Ruanga for Upper West Region, Joseph Ade Akwaboa for Bono Region, Francis Owusu Entry for Bono East Region. For the Ministers of States, we have Dr. Adrian Kofi Omane Boama for Ministry of Defense, Honorable Samuel Nate George, MP, for Ministry of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations. Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kufibua, MP, Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Honorable Kofi D. Adams, MP, Ministry of Sports and Recreation. Honorable Abdul Rashid H. Pelpo, MP, Ministry of Labor, Jobs and Employment. Honorable Kwabena Minta Akando, MP, Ministry of Health. Honorable Ibrahim Mutala Muhammad, MP, Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. Honorable Joseph Bukali Nipe, MP, Ministry of Transport. Honorable Muntaka Muhammad Mubarak, MP, Ministry of Interior. Honorable Samuel Ukujetu Abrakwa, MP, Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Okay, NT, what the whole ATA Power 97.9 FM Saso na TVXYZ Mamo Shayeno Mekoswo Parliament no say Edia Ahroa Abededra a tree a nominees Abba for various ministries no and na the second speaker and I said the second deputy speaker Odi Tudra war the floor of Parliament no trust Edia Abededra Ninti Sadin Nano Enche Omobefa a vetinum and when I ministerial nominees Ombefa vetinum until home common and no moody war of Parliament no you go so I yet Parliament and common and very soon Yebeko Sona and a Solak Natural Clinic for so a quick within common Parliament in Bra.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we appreciate the step taken by you to bring to the attention of the House this communication from His Excellency the President, particularly so when same was signed by him. We note that quite a number of the appointees, the nominees are from Parliament, and we therefore appreciate the work of this chamber. On our side, we want to signal the government that we will treat the nominees on case-by-case basis. Those who disrespect rule of law and encourage violence, we will have to make a case for them to know that violence cannot be used to enjoy democracy. Mr. Speaker, we also disappointed in the choice of the President. There are a lot of women on his side. We've had over 30 women being elected to Parliament from the NDC majority side. In view of the affirmative action posture of the country, we have passed the affirmative action law, and of all these hard-working women, only a few of them have so far been given substantive ministerial appointments. Is it the case that they are matching them for deputy ministerial appointments? That is not right. Our women cannot be second class
appointees. Mr. President must demonstrate his belief in the capacity, the capability, and the competences of our women. And he must demonstrate that. The Nana Akufo-Addo government demonstrated that women have equal capacity as men, and he demonstrated that. He did that in all his appointments, and the records are out there for all to see. Mr. Speaker, this is Greater Accra. This is Greater Accra. A government should have a representation of all shades of opinion. All stakeholders must find space in a government. In this government, we are not seeing indigenous guns in this government. Yes, we are not seeing. We are not seeing sufficient indigenous gun adangwes in this government.
Leader, hold on.
Oh, very well, Mr. Speaker. On point of order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaker.
Yes.
Arise on a point of order that the minority leader, I'm an authority on the rules of parliament. Mr.
Okay,
Speaker,
Honorable
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable
Mr. Speaker,
if you are the authority, then give us the order.
Mr. Speaker, with all due respect,
I was just overlooking
with all due respect,
what this side was saying. But if you say
Mr.
you
Speaker,
are
arise on a point of order in terms of misinformation.
No, the point
Mr.
is
Speaker,
the point is
Mr. Speaker,
Nelson.
On the matter
Nelson.
On the matter, Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Nelson.
Mr. Speaker, on the matter that the minority leader is taking, it's a very dangerous one.
Honorable leader,
you rise and you speak about tribalism.
Honorable
Speaker.
Honorable Dafemopo, please. I said earlier on, Honorable Dafemopo, I said earlier on that it is the leadership that will help the chair to manage the House. So if you are speaking and I want you to hold on and you didn't listen to me, then I find it a bit problematic. Because minority that was speaking, you rose up. I just saw you. I asked him to stop. So if you're also speaking, and for whatever reason I'm asking you to hold on, you should also respect the chair. Anyway, so you conclude.
Speaker, with all due respect to the minority leader, the tangent that he's taking is very dangerous. The minority leader, the tangent he's taking is very dangerous for the cohesion of this nation. The president has not exhausted his appointments. The president has the executive authority to make over 7,000 appointments. Over 7,000 appointments. We run an executive president in this country, and guns will continue to occupy a very important and enviable position in this government. So the claim that is made on this floor, this hallowed floor, he must withdraw it, Mr. Speaker. Number one, you withdraw.
you will withdraw because there's no basis for putting out such an information. Mr. Speaker, you must urge it upon the minority leader to withdraw that comment. Yes. Mr. Speaker, second, Mr. Speaker, the business before us. Before you decided to invoke item number 1 on the order paper to, as it were, read the communication from the presidency to the House, was for us to conclude the debate on the motion that's been ably moved by the chairperson of the Appointments Committee, the first deputy speaker, and seconded. We have agreed on the number of persons who will contribute towards the debate. So, Mr. Speaker, may I urge you that we conclude that business, because as we speak, that business is in abeyance. Let's conclude that business. Then the minority that can have his say and whatever it is on this matter, then we can bring finality. But may I urge you, may I plead with you, that we conclude the business in respect of the motion that is presently pending before the House. I humbly submit. Thank you very much.
Well. Yes. Honorable Majority Leader, Minority Leader, I say people. No. I want Honorable Afenyo to be on his feet. I want him to conclude what he was saying so that we... No, Honorable Afenyo... Honorable members, the House is run procedurally. He was speaking, somebody came on point of order. So after the point of order,
Speaker, with respect, if you bear endure, Speaker, if for nothing at all, I'm in leadership. And in this House, the convention and practice has been that when any of us in leadership rises, I think we'll listen to the person. Would you listen to me?
Yes, I want the majority. I will listen to you, but I want a minority leader to conclude what he was saying. Then,
if he concludes, what I'm going to say will be mute. I want to respond to some of the things Honorable Afenyo spoke to. Speaker, I thank you. I thank you for your patience. First of all, I want my colleague, who I know eventually he will come into leadership, to appreciate one fact. It's a marathon. 4 years, you are going to be in leadership for a marathon period. You should hasten slowly. Yeah, this temptation of my colleague suddenly getting angry. So listen. He suddenly gets angry, he gets into a certain mood. It's inappropriate. First of all, you made a point which, Honorable Dafebe, it was totally inappropriate to say that I am an authority on the rules. The interpretation of the orders lies in the motion of the Speaker, not you. You cannot be an authority when it comes to the interpretation of the rules. That is wrong. Speaker, so he should get that correctly put out. Again, if I were you, when the leader was speaking, I would rather be taking notes. You've made very important points. You are not listening. Take notes and transmit same to His Excellency the President. They are conspicuously missing our guns. Is that not a fact? We don't have guns in the appointment so far. How many airways are there featuring in the appointment names that are put out so far? You should take note and communicate same to His Excellency the President to make amends. Don't show aggression. Well, you can decide to defend it, but so far the names that have come out, Mr. Speaker, the minority leader couldn't have captured it better. He said guns are conspicuously missing. What is your defense to that? Airways are conspicuously missing. The Constitution makes provision for regional balance in such appointment. You should know this. You know this. And so, our advice to them, you are, and besides the point, Speaker, is he available leader or is the whip? I don't know which is which. Is he the available leader or is the majority whip? You should rather take a cue and communicate same to His Excellency the President. Honorable, what is that? Madina, sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. He's obviously seeking attention for His Excellency the President to see you. You have lost out in the selection. What do you want to say? You have lost out. Sit down. You have lost out. The names are out.
The guys have lost out. The airways have lost out. You should be communicating this with Excellency the President, not defending it. What are you going to say? Stop defending it. It's wrong.
Honorable members, honorable members, we can take things lightly. At times, if you are not careful, you can also instigate certain actions. I think it is the prerogative of the president to nominate ASAE. And I know the Constitution also enjoins him to at least be guided with regional balance. I believe he might be doing that. I have personally not checked with the names, but if minority leader sees, you have checked. So, honorable member, let it finish so that we can go to the substantive matter. Because these are all, let's minority leader finishes so that we can go to the substantive matter of the second appointment committee's report. Please, minority leader, please finish it up for us.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I shall refer my colleagues to Article 35, 5B, 6B of the Constitution, 35(6)B. Quotes, towards the achievement of the objectives stated in Clause 5 of this article, the state shall take appropriate measures to achieve reasonable regional and gender balance in recruitment and appointment of public officers. The state and its government is headed by the president, who alone has executive powers of state. If you read Article 58 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, Article 58 of the Constitution provides the executive authority of Ghana shall vest in the president and shall be exercised in accordance with the provisions of this Constitution. So I agree with you that Mr. President has the prerogative, but that prerogative, as you again said, must be exercised within the ambit of the Constitution, and that is provided for by Article 35, 6B. Mr. Speaker, my observation is well-founded. So far, we have had chief executive appointments. These chief executive appointments to state-owned institutions have no regional balance. These appointments have no regional balance. The appointment to ministerial office thus far cannot be said to have a fair representation. I've already argued the gender imbalance. I've already made that argument. I will not go there. We have Western region. We have Central region. We have Greater Accra, which is predominantly made up of Gans and Adanges. We have Volta region, generally made up of Evers and North. How many of them are being appointed into this government? We have Oti region. How many from Oti are getting the opportunity? Mr. Speaker, If you go to Upper West, Northeast, Mr. Speaker, in the Northeast, they are predominantly Mamprushis. Yes, it's a fact. Yes, it's a fact. Are we seeing a representation of them? This is a constitutional requirement. It is in the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, all we are saying is, Mr. President, check the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, maybe I should walk my colleagues through memory lane. When President Kufuor, listen, please, colleagues, we are not just talking. When President Kufuor was in office, I recall, was it his first term or second term?
In fact, kidney kumni papa. Na said the kidney any liver esi say Ghana for no. Asa jama yade no obi aseda koto be gu Ghana ha na kumni pa. Na eya ni ya wo problem bi. Me pesa me mamu two example bi wunim. Pani baako bi. Me dem pani fo mienu aye example. Na me mo bi adin. Pani baako bi ayari stroke eda ho. Ena another penny baako bi nso ayari stroke eda ho. Na omo ye namfo. Na baako e stroke de no. Ofre honorable Elvis afri ye ankra. When you judge nas de no, when you penny bi honorable Elvis afri ye ankra minim say you know penny krona me kana sem no. Na so penny no honorable Elvis afri ye ankra e de ne ko ba bi me yesa ne yade. But ninia ne de ananada fo ne de wose wonyi abibiduro ni ntoda so te hwite mu. De me ka tire on say eya na bibiduro nso no ahode wom entimo me yanyini. Me ka tire say when your kidney problem, when your liver problem, ya do wato dialysis so okomienu na wotwe okomiensa na wotwe Brasolak Natural Clinic. Menya dialysis no with the Brasolak Natural Clinic. Na ma ho bosome se nyame te ase a obefro hene ba ka che ne se wo hene ba meja dialysis no. Opani ba ko the last time na me ne te ya ya na edi nkomo. Wo se dialysis no kra wajai. Solak Natural Clinic. Kidney aduro yanton. Wo ba ya be ya wo test. Aya wo lab. Ahwehwe ma hu se ampa u kidney asai and u liver asai. No mamu wadru. Mini emfa no ma ni agro. Me betetem se wo na se betatai. Wo be yese. Na mom wo ye nipa bia wasase we sua. Abro soa. Bosumi mi ensa bia bosumi na bia no. E wasa wonum kidney aduro ani liver aduro. Wonem. Bibi ahono ma no ha. Na mi gira hwehwe mu no mi hu ye. Yase ye fra no nya ahono. Na mi gira hwehwe mu na mu se oh me ha ye me ha yi. Malaria ya teme no. Na the woman say so kidney ya affected and our liver ya affected. By the time when the baba ho no na asay. Minia check your kidney and your liver. And now abrantie ba ko mi hu no 25 years old boy and your kidney problem ni liver problem. Aqua dialysis 4 times a week. Brasolak Natural Clinic kwate. Wonni bi kura no abramo mo ncheke ohwe na omma waduro na no bi. Fa bo ho ban. Wo liver and wo kidney no. E so mu na ye critical. E was so called dialysis so. Wonni sika o de be that dialysis where you will die. The kidney ni liver no e twaga na fo nkwaso pa. It is the number way ebi ana na fa wo. Ebi ana wo teka mu besi fom. Ebi ana wo hwe TV na betumi awia wo. The number yi 0553 93 2631 0553 93 2631. Look, and come ya me ni wodie wo.
ebia na wo de wo gye atinye pa wo se go jai eho aduro bi eni ho wo de wo hene ba manim fefefe wo kumangra di wanf ode ne ho ba akopɛ manim fefefe sei no wo de hwɛ na ma fɛreɛ kakra emra wanim na tuwa na monse wo hene ba aka me konum bi ahwɛ me nom na anya yi a enya hwe look amanfo amanfo ta dada yense kidney yare ene liver yare eya abibiduro ene deba obi obeka sa bia no wa bon woni made kona kwhwehwe the causes of liver and kidney diseases na hwehwe mu hwe se traditional or local or plant medicine e ka ho yanum yedudo frititi o yedudo no yanum fritete na kidney ni liver yade ni ho etira me ka chew say sister bra Solak Natural Clinic bra na won saw yade bra na won check won hwe watira da ya watrase e wo kokomlemle waya Castle Road wo ben Harvard Senior High School no minu ya men fen wo man ni agro anya se wo be wuntam kwa owu de obi nim da wo be fa obi but owu aye tumi si ano kwan so de hwe ba min kotu ade bi nkire wonim Bible mu ni ya wa brante bi ya na ye friend Elijah. He was a very powerful man. Na Elijah Bible no mu okunkum bala konfo be de ho 400 no kunkum wo mu wiye ye no en wo ba bia ye friend Jezebel ka chen say hey masa akonfo na okunkum wo no wo tira sese na me de wonam aman kraman Elijah te ye no odwane ye Yesu Kristo won bebo na man yese yakudwo the Baptist no wo dwane ko sra so akirichiri baabi ekohintae etomre bia dwane enu ntina me ka chew se dwane free ntro ho dwane free kontompo ho na kwaje wo kra nkwa obi ka kire wo se an kidney de wonu ma bibidran wo bowa Solak Natural Clinic na won saw yade kosohe gidi ni kidney ase kodwo agi na wuo enu mpo no nyame ya adoma obeba nkwam je number ni biem 0553 93 2631 0553 93 2631 family na me sore no mame ka se mu ntiro woko police hospital yawo herbal medicine department ye ka ho na wo de no de aka ho purposely because of say herbal medicine so no amanfo ba eya na mo pe no echen orthodox one Ghana ha asem ntrew enu ti da tobre bi eduro ne yakura no ayegitum anye yie hufuo nti kakra beba nti ma nkwa ho yia tuana mompa ye beboa na je wo kra nkwa no tena yade bia anka obetumi atu ase wanku amwa anye mobo saje number ne bi wo tena Dr. Penny betrase e wo kokomlemle omo be Harvard Senior High School no omo number ne ye 0553 93 26 31 0553 93 26 31 TNBM 0553 93 26 31 Frewon na tuanamon na yakasa ba kubi wo ho nipa ne fra hello watena me pesa me ba na me ba me moa me ho se me pa cha okokolebu e afro mu bi so mo se wo ba ya mo ho sen e ya mo ye dia ma ne ye ya dodo wo kwa Range Hospital wo so bi kwa Range Hospital no afra bi sa se me ba Range na me ba me moa me ho sen munya sa kwa hospital wo kwa boa ho ti se de okọ hospital bia no a na okọ nyame te ase wo yade no wo mfa mma bia
Now, let me tell you about Safari Valley Eco Resort, the first of its kind in West Africa.